Namaskar and welcome to NFL Masala. I'm your co-host Anant.
And I'm your other co-host Rakshak. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 7 of NFL Masala, where we talk about all the latest happenings in the NFL with a little bit of spice.
So for our YouTube audience, as you guys can see, we have a guest here for us, Mr. Abhishek Ramani. He has been a repeat guest for us, one of our most valuable guests as a Cowboys fan. And that's an indication as to what we are going to talk about today, and that is the NFC East Division. We have another guest coming on who's going to talk about the Eagles side. He's also been a repeat guest for us. He's also been a very valuable member for us as well, but he's going to join a little bit later. So before we get started with the actual NFC East preview and some of the Dhamakadar news, say hi again, Abhishek. Welcome back.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. It's going to be fun today.
Oh, yeah.
Draft legend. He also has some insider news as well. So he's going to be our little third man to the two-man show that we have already. All right. So speaking of news, let's get started with some Dhamakadar news. First bit of news is actually something that we haven't seen in a while. And that is the NFL actually facing the consequences of being a monolithic organization, so shall we say. The NFL's judge, or there was a jury U.S. district judge named Philip Gutierrez, and this was actually a major lawsuit where the NFL's Sunday ticket package that was offered to DirecTV was found to be violating antitrust regulations by being offered at fraudulent prices. And so what the jury had decided on June 27th was to award $4.7 billion in terms of residential and commercial damages to subscribers after it ruled that NFL violated the antitrust trust laws in distributing out-of-market Sunday afternoon games on a premium subscription service. So it was found that the jury used the 2021 list price of about $294 and subtracted 102.74, which was the average price actually paid by the subscribers, the actual residential subscribers. And then to calculate that value, the jury used the subtracted value and multiplied it by the number of subscribers. So that was apparently not the instruction by the judge. So now the judge is basically saying, because you didn't follow my instructions, we're going to overrule the actual jury verdict. So the NFL might not be facing charges now because the jury used the wrong calculations. Now the NFL is appealing, and it's going to go possibly to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and then maybe even the Supreme Court.
It's gonna be a while, man. But
yeah,
but the NFL should also be, if they're penalizing the NFL for like these those types of like playing these games, the NFL should also be penalized for putting Panthers games on national TV because Jesus or whatever God that you pray to or worship, like that itself is torture.
It should be
unusual punishment.
Yeah,
that come on.
They should be tried for war crimes for that.
Literally war crimes.
Didn't the Panthers only have like one national TV game? That was the Cowboys game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was not fun either.
No, but also we had Giants on prime time. We had, I guess, Bears would be okay considering they still had Justin Fields, so that hype was still there. But yeah, the fact that the Panthers were on primetime TV. But yeah, anyways, so in this case, it seems like the decision to penalize the NFL is going to be progressed further amongst other courts as well. So
let's see,
maybe another 10 years before the subscribers actually see their money come in.
Yeah, probably.
But
It's the whole scam, man. The way to watch games have become such a scam.
yeah.
I mean, talk about the NFL. I'm not sure if it's 100% yet, but I know the NFL was like Netflix was chasing the NFL.
Yes. Yeah. For like a playoff game or something.
Exactly. And Peacock did it. And are you kidding me that I have to sign up for a membership just to watch one playoff game?
Yeah.
And they didn't even put the bad one on there. They put the Bills versus Steelers, which ended up being a pretty decent game.
Right.
Like, why didn't you throw, I forgot what the other games were.
Dolphins and Chiefs, I think.
You could have put Eagles Bucks there.
Throw Eagles Bucks on there.
I would have been perfectly okay with it because that was
thrown
a
Eagles.
national embarrassment.
I don't know. I forget who played last year on the other side. It was 2-7 was who was the 3-6 for the AFC?
It was, let me check.
Yeah.
But I think it wasn't Dolphins Chiefs. It was Ravens something. No. It was Browns Texans.
It was Brown. That should have been on I think that was a bad game, if I'm correct. I don't think it was worth the watch. If
Texans blew out the Browns.
Yeah, but in all honesty, I mean, you're right. The worst game was Bucks versus Eagles, and that should have been put on. Like, if I could reorg that entire playoff schedule, I would have put that Eagles game first and like let that not be seen by anyone.
Yeah,
and then honestly. I think the best game of that first round was the Lions versus Rams because it was Stafford's homecoming.
Yes.
And they pulled it off. But
yeah,
I mean, of course, the Cowboys and Packers.
Yeah, that specifically for the meme potential.
We're not.
Also, nobody expected that to go that way.
Either. No. And in all honesty, that was the prime. I think the prime time game of the entire weekend was Cowboys and Packers, and I could not believe what happened, but still in awe about that. But
and now Amazon Prime is going to have its own dedicated playoff game, so you're gonna have to get that, even if you refuse to watch any Thursday night game in the entire season. They also have Black Friday apparently, and
Black Friday. Yes.
Yeah, it's coming.
Last year's Black Friday game was the Jets versus Dolphins, and there was like 2 pick sixes in the first quarter.
Yeah,
it was awful. And in all honesty, see, I can't blame them because when you schedule a game like that, you expect Aaron Rodgers to play. Right. You expect the game to be worth it. I mean, but like when you schedule a playoff game on Peacock and you know it's going to be a decent enough game, why not just throw that on there? Like, why would you do something that, like, I don't know. I could, like, I want to watch Josh Allen on national TV. I don't want to watch him on Peacock. Like, put Baker Mayfield and not Justin Field, Jalen Hurts on there. Like, ain't no one got time for that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, only Eagles and like Bucks fans were actually watching that game.
I think everyone gave up after the first quarter when the Bucks did nothing. Yeah. After that opening drive, right? They scored the opening drive. We were like,
it was like the opening. I think it was somewhat like the opening drive, but it was like, I was like, yep, there it goes. And I was like, please end this already so I can like start off my vacation and my and my thing to like let go, because good Lord,
I just looked it up. The Bucks went up 10-0 in the first quarter. And you guys only scored 3 field. It was 32-9, and all those points were scored in the second quarter, and you were down 16-9 at half.
It was 16-9. I'm like, how the hell are we surviving? How the hell are we somewhat in this game mathematically? But it was like, good Lord, just end this already, because it was a train wreck that started. It's immediately started off with the collapse, which we'll get to later on. And then it was like, thank God. I'm at the point, it's like, thank God it's finally over. Thank you, Bucks, for putting me out of my misery. I still hate your guts, Baker Mayfield, you stupid ass walk-on Sooner boy. But that's for another story. But anyway, we could talk about
for that one. So we can move forward in the next item.
Yes, with the next item. So with that, this is according to Sarah Barshop of ESPN. Yesterday, Sources have said that LA Rams right guard Jonah Jackson, he's expected to miss the preseason because of a bruised left scapula, but has a chance to return for the start of the regular season. Sources told Adam Schefter. He left practice with a member of the training staff on Tuesday. He's not at the team's walkthrough on through Wednesday. He did sign a 3-year, $51 million contract with the Rams this offseason. He started 12 games last season, missing time with wrist, ankle, and knee injuries, but he was like in good shape. So they do open the regular season with the Lions. The team Jackson spent his first 4 NFL seasons before signing with the LA Rams. So wishing you nothing but a speedy recovery, Jonah Jackson.
He's a key component to especially their running game, since they run a lot of inside zone and outside zone. So he's like their athletic interior guard who can move. They sorely need someone there.
Yep.
Alrighty. So up next, another offensive lineman, but this time positive news. Tristan Wirfs, who's nationally guarded as a top 5 tackle, period, across the entire NFL. But before we get to that news, let's welcome Pete. Welcome back, Pete. Thanks for joining us again.
Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up, Pete? How you doing?
We are
Hey,
okay.
Welcome, Pete. Pretty ka na.
Nalarko.
Alrighty. So going back to Tristan Wirfs, he has signed I believe a 5-year, $140 million extension. That makes him the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. And that includes $88 million, a little bit more than that, guaranteed, which is also the most guaranteed money for any offensive tackle in the entire league. So, yeah, I mean, this is well-deserved.
Yeah.
And it's $28.1 million a year for starting, a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber tackle who, if he keeps this up, for the rest of his entire career, potential talks to be in the Hall of Fame. Right?
Bucks Hall of Fame for sure, hands down. Yeah. Because he's been part of that line. And because the Bucks have done one thing that we in NFL Masala preach. Build through the trenches. Build through the trenches. Build through the trenches. Remember, folks, if you want good success in life, repeat this mantra 3 times as always. Or if you want to go the extreme route, 108 times. But then again, if that's how you want to go with it, all means. But anyway, last but we do before I go on with any other NFL Masala news, I especially want to give a shout out to the U.S. Olympic team so far. Simone Biles, welcome back, returning back from after sitting out in Tokyo 2020 to win back the all-around women's gymnastics for gold. Welcome back, Simone freaking Biles. And of course, Suni Lee winning the bronze. Rooting for you, girl. And so I got to give my quick shout out to that. But with that being said, the New England Patriots and the run stuffing defensive tackle Devon Gottschalk. I hope I'm saying this right. Godchaux.
Gotcha.
Okay. Pardon mon français. So they've agreed to a 2-year extension worth up to $21 million. That includes $16.5 million guaranteed. Sources told Adam Schefter on Wednesday. He was entering his final year of his contract, and he was scheduled to earn a base salary of $7.15 million, with the chances of earning an additional $1 million in per game roster bonuses, and previously said he was looking for more respect. So you know what? Varun, our fellow Patriots fan, Varun, if you're watching this, I hope you're a happy man right now, because you're a crucial player on that Patriots defense. He just got paid, and he's definitely I think he's definitely going to be seeing a lot more starting snaps. But
Yep. Alrighty. And last but not least, our NFL insider Abhishek Ramani has some news.
Breaking news is today.
One of the biggest news is, I think, that is going to That's a big impact in the AFC and for fantasy football player or football guys around. Justin Herbert probably going to be a QB1. He injured his foot during practice today. They're saying it's plantar fasciitis.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be, and they say he's ready. He's going to be ready for week 1. But who was the quarterback that had the same similar injury that didn't come back? Like that came back week 1.
That was Aaron Rodgers.
Tony
Aaron Rodgers and
Yeah.
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow did it last year,
Mhm.
and Joe Burrow struggled, as we all know. I think he only caught his stride week 5, but by then they were already 2-3 or something like that, and the season was pretty much over.
Right.
This doesn't bode well for a team that has no backups. Easton Stick and Max Duggan are their backups. That definitely won't be fun. And I mean, worse than anything is who are the receivers? I think they let go of Keenan Allen, obviously. Mike Williams gone. They've got a good young rookie and Lad McConkey. He's been showing some. I've watched some videos. He's looked great, mainly on the balls thrown by Justin Herbert. And me personally, I was excited to see that, mainly because I thought this would be a good step for Justin Herbert. But now, with Coach Jim Harbaugh, sorry, as the head coach now, but they have no weapons, and I don't think they were ever going to make a lot of noise. I mean, I was just hyped on Justin Herbert and Harbaugh that I thought it would happen, but the injury doesn't help. The defense is washed. Everyone's washed on that team. It sucks for Herbert mainly. He's a top 7 QB, man. He easily could be top 5 if talent wise he's top 5. Could be top 5 if he had a decent supporting cast, and I think even when he did have a decent starting supporting cast, they were always injured. Keenan Allen always pulled a hammy. Mike Williams tore his ACL. Eckler I could run faster than him. Like, shit, man. Like, y'all remember that meme whenever they were down 48-7, but he points first down? Like, that is what his legend is. Against the Raiders, exactly. Like, that's what his legend is. And they got rid of him. They got Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, but, dude, they have more ACL tears than touchdowns at this rate. So it's like, I mean, it sucks for them. We need to do a
statistical analysis on the Chargers and their injury history. Honestly,
and then you look at the defense. Khalil Mack is, I mean, a great player, but he's washed. Honestly, he hasn't been that same guy. Joey Bosa will start the first 2 weeks and get hurt somehow, and won't show up for the next 6. So it sucks. Hopefully he's back. Hopefully he is good. I don't think that injury is very. It's not a good injury. Plantar fasciitis. It's not.
Damn.
Yeah, because it's not like it's his non-throwing hand or something. It's literally
it's a foot. And I believe it's his planting foot.
Yeah.
So which is even worse.
Exactly.
They need that planting foot to drive the ball. And if you're not, we see Daniel Jones who can barely plant his foot, and he can't do anything right. So it's
right there.
Shit.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that is one big news. Another one, not super. I don't want to say super important, but it is big mainly because of the injury to the real starter, Deontay Foreman, running back of the Cleveland Browns. He was actually injured, put on a stretcher, and helicoptered out of camp. That is very risky, mainly because they said that Nick Chubb will not be back they don't think he'll be back for week 1 or for the season to start. So Foreman was supposed to be the lead back coming in.
Right.
But he signed a 1-year deal. But he got and it's crazy because he got injured in the new kickoff drill in practice.
And
it kind of sucks, mainly because they changed the entire rules to stop injuries.
Yeah.
But you're getting injured in practice.
Yeah.
So that sucked, mainly because now they were planning to lean a lot on Foreman to be that rushing attack and take pressure off of Deshaun Watson, who was coming back from injury and shoulder surgery. Now the weight is back on Deshaun Watson, and it doesn't bode well considering he hasn't produced since leaving Houston. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to side with him and say that he's going to be good. I hope he is. I mean, the Browns deserve to be good. Mainly in that tight AFC North. They'll be fun if they're good, but this injury sucks for them. And I believe now they're trying to look for alternate options. Kareem Hunt's still on the board out there. Naeem Hines, and they have undrafted rookie that's sitting out there that I believe they're going to weigh on. So that's tough for the Browns. So hope Deontay Foreman's good. Lastly, and I know we talked about another injury. DeAndre Hopkins, starting receiver of the Tennessee Titans. He got hurt today. He's a key part of the Titans offense, mainly after Will Levis took over as quarterback. He targeted DeAndre Hopkins a lot last year. Hopkins had 7 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, 1,000 plus yards receiving last year. This now, I believe he injured his hamstring, if I'm correct.
It looked like I think it said like
Knee injury.
Yeah, more like a knee injury. It looks more
knee
like
injury. Sorry, it was a knee injury, and he is supposed to be missing precautionary up to 6 weeks.
Whoa!
But we have to think about that because we're in the preseason, so we're talking almost 2 real games of being missed. 3. I mean, if we're going to count this week plus 3 preseasons plus 1 break, and then 2 more games. So I mean, it's only missing 2 weeks, but it sucks coming for a player like DeAndre Hopkins, who is elite in Houston, and he's just hobbled his way through the league since then, and injuries taken over. But this does bode well for fantasy football fans out there. Calvin Ridley signed with the Titans over the offseason, and Tyler Boyd was the free agents were the 2 free agents picked up this offseason by the Titans. So I would put a lot of stock in Calvin Ridley and go from there. Yeah, those were 2 or 3 huge injury newses. Mainly comes for fantasy football people and just overall NFL fans that like to see the Justin Herbert and DeAndre Hopkins specifically.
Yep.
Yeah.
All righty. Thank you so much for giving us that news. And prayers up for and hope everybody gets healthy in time for regular season, because all we want to see is for them to play at their full potential. So, all righty. Up next, we are actually going to start with the breakdown of the NFC East Division. And before we get to the spicy ones in the Eagles and the Cowboys, we're going to go away.
Honestly, okay, I'm going to put a spoiler warning.
Honestly, they're all spicy.
They're all spicy, but here's the thing. It's going to come between the Cowboys and the Eagles. So let's just make this quickly. Because the thing is, since 2003, 2004, there has been no, and this is a disclaimer and actual truth, there's been no repeat winner of the NFC East. Do you understand this, folks?
We were so close to seeing it last year until it all went down. 10-1 to 1-5. But that was not fun.
Abhishek, by the way, if you want to say this a little bit more, I have a soft spot in my rib. Like, just take a fork, like just stick it really hard, twist it, pour some vinegar at it while you're at it, man.
Nah, that job should be reserved for Nick Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni.
I am very surprised after that insane collapse. That man still has a job.
Yeah,
I have no idea how you have so much talent on your team and you somehow, some way, still do that, and you still have a job. So, and he's a clown, dude. I honestly don't know how players like playing for him. You guys might know better or might know more on why he's a good coach, but
Pete,
I said in one of my when I joined you guys one time, I think I said this. I said Shane Steichen, right? Shane Steichen. Yeah. And I know you hate this on Ruckchuck, but Jonathan Gannon made Sirianni. I think they're great coordinating and coaching.
Made is such a strong word.
No, okay. I believe they not made. I'm going to say they carried a big portion of the load in that Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
the
the run.
I don't.
And in the
I will
Super
agree
Bowl.
with
No,
you on
in the Super Bowl run. I'm not saying in the past. I'm just saying that not last year, the year before, when you guys made it to the Super Bowl, yes, Jonathan Gannon completely collapsed. Like, this is the worst time for him to collapse on, and he did. I think Steichen was still relatively good because the offense was fine until, I believe, Jalen Hurts fumbled, right, in the third quarter or something like that.
It was in the
second quarter.
First quarter,
whatever
and it was
it was.
returned for a touchdown.
Yeah. So outside of that, I mean, and you can clearly see how when Sirianni didn't have two decent coordinators with him, what happened. And I mean,
Yeah, especially since
We're
Nick
gonna
Sirianni doesn't control either the offense or the defense. He's just
he's just a head coach.
placeholder.
He's a jag right now. There's a term like for those that are listening to this for the first time, there's a term called jag, just a guy. He's basically a jack, just a coach, or more like a jack off, so he can get the hell out.
But yes, so we will reserve those spicy teams towards the end. We're going to talk about the less spicy teams, the ones that don't have division winning potential as of yet. Starting with the Commanders. Man, I feel so bad for Kami fans, man. They had to go through the whole Dan Schneider ordeal. Then they see some hope in Josh Norris and that organization coming in, revamping the entire team potentially. And then what happened? Last year, Riverboat Ron just bled the Commanders straight into an iceberg and then sank it straight to the bottom of the Atlantic. That's exactly what he did.
But the culture is pretty damn good. Quotes,
yes.
famous last words.
I'm sure Riverboat Ron would have said that as well. No shade to him, but he did a craptastic job leading the Commanders this past year. And I don't want to go too much into detail about how bad everything was, but everything was really bad. In terms of the offense, like Sam Howell showed some potential. He was 12th in passing yards on the entire season, but he was he threw 21 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. And that was the downfall of the Commanders.
A lot of fumbles too.
Yeah, a lot of fumbles. They were fourth most in terms of giveaways and the lowest turnover differential. But
my bad to interrupt, but you know what the worst part of this is? His two best performances were against the freaking Eagles during that tenure, which
he just hates the color green.
He probably,
yeah.
And apparently the Commanders, they always play when they face the Eagles, they play super well. They tend to suck against other teams, but when it comes to Philly, I don't know what it is, but it somehow goes into a game. Or in some cases, for first time people going to the Lincoln Financial Field for the very first time, myself, it goes to freaking OT. Make it make sense.
But yeah, I mean, other than those two games and potentially some other moments in other games, he was not good. That's why he was let go. And I'll talk about this a little bit in the next section. But yeah, offensively speaking, they were not good. There were some positives actually from this past season, and that was their wide receiving core. As we all know, they have really good wide receivers, right? You got Scary Terry. You've got Jahan Dotson, right? So that's a great 1-2 pair right there. And they weren't bad. They were 10th in terms of drop percentage. So the receivers themselves were not, that bad, while Sam Howell was like in the top 10 in terms of bad throw percentage. So like the QB was making most of the mistakes and the receivers weren't. And if you were to compare it with another team that actually had success, let's look at the Lions. Their receiving core, they had the 5th highest drop percentage. They were also and the Commanders were right behind the Lions in terms of total yak that they earned, over 2,100 yards on the entire season. So it seems like the wide receiver core was nice. It was all right. The offensive line was decent it was decent, especially in terms of run blocking. They were able to produce the 9th most adjusted line yards. So that means it's a statistic that's geared to analyzing just how much the offense can move, or the offensive line can move back the defenders on average. So on average, they were the 9th best at producing line yards themselves on each rush. So they had some positive moments, but across the entire season, they were not good. And defense was even worse. 31st in overall DVOA. They had the worst pass defense in the entire league, 19th run defense, 27th in adjusted line yards, which means they were moved to high heaven while they were run blocking, and 26th in sacks. So they didn't generate sacks. And especially this weird statistic that we saw in the NFC North preview, Montez Sweat. When they let go of Montez Sweat and he signed to the Chicago Bears, at the end of the season, he's the only player in NFL history to lead the sacks for 2 teams in the same season.
Why?
Should that tell you how sorry both those teams are?
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
I would like to know.
And he only had
100%
9.5 sacks or like 6.5 sacks in each. So it just goes to show like how unprepared both teams were without Montez Sweat in terms of generating pass rush and generating and creating sacks and some pressure on the offense. So yeah, it was not good. Which is why the entire franchise just overhauled everything all over again. If you start from, the players that they brought in a lot of ex-Cowboys. Dorrance Armstrong on a 3-year, $33 million deal. Pass rushing experience there. Frankie Louvu from Carolina. That's on a 3-year, $31 million deal. He's probably going to be their starting middle linebacker or like weak side linebacker. If they're going to have, who's the other guy? They have a Jamin Davis. There we go.
Jamin Davis. Yeah.
Yeah. Jamin Davis. If Jamin Davis is going to be their strong side linebacker, then you got Frankie Louver as their weak side. And let's say they also got Tyler Biadasz. Biadasz from
That's
Dallas.
a huge pickup, honestly.
Yeah.
Biadasz is Pro Bowl center. And I'll talk about that in the Cowboys part, but
yeah,
he's a huge signing, and a big part of that probably comes with Dan Quinn being their head coach. He's got a lot of followers.
Oh yeah,
exactly. And speaking of more Cowboys, they also got Dante Fowler, again, another depth piece in terms of the pass rush. Some more. They also got Nick Allegretti, who was the Chiefs guard / center on a 3-year deal, who's also a pretty nice addition there. So they're, again, building through the trenches, right? They got Nick Allegretti, Tyler Biadasz, Sam Cosmi, who was there from the beginning. I believe he's from Texas. And then they got Trent Scott on the right tackle side, and then Brandon Coleman on the left side. So they're trying to build up that offensive line specifically for who they drafted. And let's see, they also got Marcus Mariota from the Eagles, only as like a backup quarterback potential. And then
they got Zach Ertz too, right?
Yeah. They also got Zach Ertz, Olamide Zaccheaus, Noah Igbenogany as well, in terms of depth pickup there in the quarterbacking position.
And Anant, you were mentioning vets. They picked up, I think, one of the biggest vets in the offseason that was on the mainly for defense in a Dan Quinn led defense is Bobby Wagner.
Yep.
That was huge.
That was a big pickup for him.
I think that was the biggest pickup for them, because if you look at the offensive line, yes, those were incremental or instrumental positions, but Bobby Wagner being there solidifies that linebacking core into something that can be used as a weapon and not as a liability. Because if we look at their previous year's performance, they were, I think, bottom 5 in how their linebackers performed against the run, which is second level yards that they allowed. And they were also, I think, they didn't generate that much pass rush anyway. So just bringing in someone of Bobby Wagner's caliber to help Frankie Louvu and to help bring up Jamin Davis, especially in that run stopping scenario, that is going to be significantly it's going to be very important for them to at least keep the offense in certain games.
Yeah.
Right. If you have a decent, run stopping defense, at least it will prevent the other team from completely taking control of the entire game. And if you can, create some sort of turnovers, that'll give you some more leverage. So they're looking to do that now. And speaking of which, in terms of the players that did leave them, they lost a lot. They lost Curtis Samuel. That was a huge loss for them. Kendall Fuller, also gone. Antonio Gibson, Cam Curl, Jacoby Brissett, Khalid Hudson, who was a linebacker, but they replaced him with Bobby Wagner. So that's not that bad. Logan Thomas, he wasn't that helpful anyways. He was like 33 years old. Can you speak, Pete?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So they did lose a couple of veterans, but they did bring in a lot more, specifically important pieces and important positions. So the biggest overhaul was their entire front office and coaching staff. So
that's an understatement.
Understatement of the year. I think besides, I don't know if any other team overhauled the entire team from front office to coaching staff like the Commanders did, because they got a new I guess the Chargers. The Chargers would be the other team who would have done that.
Chargers overall. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the front office, they hired Adam Peters, who is from San Francisco, I believe, as the general manager. They also got in Doug Williams. He returned as the senior advisor. And Dave Gard. Yeah. So a couple of others in terms of key pieces in the front office, but the main part is head coach. As you mentioned, they got Dan Quinn, Brian Johnson as their pass game coordinator.
Pete, that's Brian Johnson, ex-Eagles offensive coordinator. Goodness.
Yes. They also brought in Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator, and their run game coordinator and running backs coach is Anthony Lynn. So he's got, we all know who he is, but actually I think their biggest gets are on the defense, right? So they already got Dan Quinn, but some underrated pieces. They got Joe Witt Jr. as their defensive coordinator, and stop me if you guys have heard this name, Ken Norton Jr. as their linebackers coach. And Ryan Kerrigan.
That's huge.
Ryan
Kerrigan was ex-Redskin or Commanders.
Yeah.
Too, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Long-time Commanders guy.
Yeah.
They also got Daryl Tapp in the defensive line. He's a good coach.
Yes.
He played for both teams, right? So
exactly.
He got experience there. So
exactly. So they brought in a lot of coaching experience and former player experience. And so the biggest group that they overhauled is their linebacking core, speaking from like coaching staff and from player personnel. So yeah, good signs for this team. Definite signs of improvement. And then before I talk about what we expect from this team, the last bit of players that they brought in, which is in the draft, they got their franchise QB, or at least we think it is, in Jaden Daniels. Right, second overall pick, quarterback out of LSU. He was touted to be, like many people, or not many people, some people were picking him over Caleb Williams, but everybody was basically saying Caleb and Jaden as the 1 and 2. Right, so we didn't really see that much of a debate there. But yeah, I think he might succeed in this, because with Cliff Kingsbury, his whole shtick is air raid, right? But with the Cardinals, though, he was actually pretty instrumental in creating a layered running game. He used different offensive running schemes. He used a gap scheme. He used inside zone, a little bit of outside zone as well, some pin and pull schemes as well. So if they can focus on the running game and building that up from the bottom, which they're doing, right, in terms of the players that they brought in some key players, especially in the run game, right, on the offensive line. So if they're able to focus on the running game, bring that to at least, top 20, maybe top 15, that'll take some pressure off of Jaden Daniels. And with Cliff Kingsbury, if they're going to run 21 personnel, they're going to do a lot of play action passing. They're going to do like 3 or like 4 wide receivers. It's going to give a lot of options for this wide receiving core, and it's going to give a lot of options for Jaden Daniels. And we already know his running ability potential as well, which Cliff Kingsbury has some experience with in Kyler Murray. So I think it's a good combo that has the potential to be a really good combo towards the end of the season. But we have to see if things work out. So yeah, they got Jaden Daniels, Jerzon Johnny Newton, which was a pretty underrated draft pick, actually. We were surprised that he fell out of the first round. I mean, I thought that he was going to be in the first round, probably to like the Bills or someone like that. But he's a defensive tackle, hard-nosed, really powerful defensive tackle, explosive defensive tackle. And then in the second round, again, they got Mike Sainristil, cornerback out of Michigan. That was really a good slot corner there. Ben Sanat, who's the tight end from Kansas State. He seems like a fun player. I haven't really seen much about him, but we know that he's really good at blocking as well. So Brandon Coleman, guard from TCU in the third round. Luke McCaffrey, the little brother to Christian McCaffrey, wide receiver out of Rice. And Jordan McGee. Yeah, linebacker, Dominique Hampton, safety, and then Javonte Jean-Baptiste, an edge rusher. So they got some good depth pieces, but they also got potential starters. Well, obviously, Jaden Daniels, he's going to be the starter. But Johnny Newton is going to be a starter, and Mike Sainristil, I think he's going to be the slot corner, the starting slot corner. Because if we look at their cornerback depth chart, they got Emmanuel Forbes, and
they have Jeremy Chin too back there, right? Huh? Jeremy Chin was decent with the Panthers for a little bit.
Yes, strong safety. Yes. He'll be playing that strong safety role for Jeremy Chin. But as you were saying, on like the cornerback room, like if Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin and St. Juste, I mean, you're basically adding in great players like Terry Castro Fields. And now you're putting in Dominique Hampton to play as a reserve safety. And don't forget Mike Sainristil. If they go, and Dan Quill, even though he goes on a 4-3 base defense, which for folks that are listening to this, your 4-3 is four defensive linemen, 3 linebackers. And if he decides to go in a nickel formation, you can easily put in Mike Sainristil, because that has been his position of strength when he was playing for that Michigan team that won back-to-back college football finals and eventually winning the whole damn thing.
Did Deron Bland play outside corner, or was he more of a slot? Outside?
Wait, he was outside corner.
Oh, Deron Bland, yeah.
Deron Bland was outside corner.
Gotcha.
He locked down because he took over the spot for Trayvon Diggs when he got hurt. And so but I will say, adding on, and I was just thinking about this since you guys brought up the back, or the defensive backs. What Dan Quinn excels in is applying pressure on the offense, applying pressure, stopping the run, applying pressure on the quarterback, creating sacks. Because what is one thing that the Cowboys did under Dan Quinn? Yeah, we had great talent with Micah and Odigizua and DeMarcus Lawrence on the corner, so we were able to apply a lot of pressure. But because we didn't give quarterbacks a lot of time to throw the ball, Deron Bland jumped routes, Diggs jumped routes. Marquise Bell would pick off passes. I think that bringing in these players that they've done, like Bobby Wagner, Dorrance Armstrong, let's not forget they still have Jonathan Allen on their line. Yes, he's a beast. They brought in
Deron Payne.
They still have, and now
they signed Clean Farrell from the Niners, who was part of the rotation this past Super Bowl. He wasn't as good, but
rotational edge rusher,
rotational players, I guess. And Dante Fowler, who was former Cowboy too, who played pretty decent last year. I think he is, but don't get me wrong, he is trash, but he played decent. We'll really see what trash it is whenever he plays for a team like the Commanders. But I think it's just it helps build what Dan Quinn wants, right? Is apply pressure. Talking as a fan of a team that had Dan Quinn as a coach, sorry. He's going to have his highs, he's going to have his lows, but I don't know how much low the Commanders can go considering they're already there. So
exactly. I mean, what else is left to lose for them?
They can only get better from here, and I think he's a good bridge coach for that next guy that's going to take them to the next round. Or not going to say they're going to win the Super Bowl, but like he's going to build them the team. He's going to get fired because he's not going to do much, right? Or he'll make the playoffs, lose in the first round. Jaden Daniels is not going to like him. Shit's going to happen. They're going to bring in that true coach that's going to lead them. And
might be
Ben. I feel like this is
might be who?
Ben John. That is who I truly thought would be the right person for the Chargers job or the Commanders job.
Yeah,
but he did choose. I did like the fact that he went back because the Lions were so close.
Right. And they're like, let's give it one.
Like, let's finish the job. Like they were close to finishing the job. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think we've basically covered it, right? In terms of like this overall season, I don't really expect the Commanders to do much, right? Just to see some flashes of hope in terms of Jaden Daniels and see that offense succeed a little bit, especially that run game, bringing that up a little bit, and then expect the defense to show up, get some more pass rush, get improved pass coverage as well. Maybe like would he run man coverage in that scenario, or does he run a lot of zone coverage?
We saw what happened in the playoff game. He ran man. Well, he was playing man all year long.
Yeah.
Randomly turned into zone, and Jordan Love carved us up.
Yeah.
So God knows what he's got in his mind right now, what he's going to do. But I wouldn't be surprised if he plays more zone because of how inexperienced that line is, or the DBs are. But I think he's going to put a lot of pressure on that front line to get to the QB and stop the running backs.
We might even see an uptick in the blitz rate because of if
he's going to blitz nonstop.
Yeah, exactly. Especially bring in nickel blitzes from Mike Sanders still, which that could be very explosive because he was actually very good in that role at Michigan, right?
Yeah.
As a coming in from the slot blitz. So so hopefully we see some improvement in the defense, maybe bring it up to top 15. That would be real improvement. But other than that, we don't really expect them to win more than 9 games. I'm saying optimistically, I'm saying 7-10.
Okay, fair enough.
Optimistically, that's because they have some winnable games in their schedule. If we take a look at their schedule, they got the Bucs to open with, and without Dave Canales, Week 1, Baker Mayfield in a completely new offense, that could be a easy victory there. Well, not easy, but decent victory. Then they got the Giants, so that's 2 potential wins right there. Right. Then they got a string of 4 games where I think they don't win. They got Bengals, Cardinals, Browns, Ravens. So, then they have Panthers, Bears, Giants. Those could be 3 wins. And then Steelers, Eagles, Cowboys, Titans, Saints, Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys to finish off. So potentially 7 wins there. Maybe 8 if everything goes well, but like anywhere from 5 to 8 wins, I think is realistic for Washington because like you were saying, this year is not the year for them to succeed into the playoffs. We're looking for year 2, year 3 onwards of Jaden Daniels to see if they can proceed into the playoffs and become a perennial playoff team like the Texans have, right? I don't think anybody expected the Texans and the CJ Stroud to look this well this early, but that's the career path for Jaden Daniels. But Shandar Player of the Year. So that's another thing that we're going to do this year. We're going to be talking about what player from each team we see that's going to shine for that team for this year. So for me, it's going to be Jaden Daniels. I have him as an Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate behind Caleb Williams and Malik Neighbors. So, that's it for me in terms of the Commanders. Rakshak.
Fair enough, man. Great analysis and spot on as always, and I'll salute you for that. And now We go back to the other episode of the Titanic. There's a Titanic Part 1 here, which was the Commanders, but it was more like a moderate Titanic.
Mhm.
With all due respect to the Titanics, but this one, do I call it the Hindenburg? Because
Or the Lusitania sinking.
God, I was there when that happened, man.
Yes.
Yep, we were
100
there.
years ago.
Yeah, it's just like the Roman Empire. There's some I always see the memes of that, but the Giants. Before I begin, I want everyone's one word to describe the Giants season, starting with Abhishek.
What am I talking about last season
One
or
word.
this season?
One word to describe the Giants
Last
2023 season. One word.
Not even a word, considering how bad it was.
Try it.
Okay, I'll say it's gonna have a hyphen in it, but I'm gonna say letdown.
Okay.
Okay.
How about Pete?
From going from 2022 to 2023, I would say disappointment. Disappointment year. So,
And Anant.
I would say hopeless because they recently signed Daniel Jones to a 4-year, $160 million deal. And last year, we saw them make the playoffs, win a playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings, who we all thought would be fraudulent or turned out to be fraudulent. And then last year happened. So I don't think they have hope.
What is hope? Oh, yeah,
Exactly.
go ahead, Abhishek.
Can I change my word to dog shit?
Dog shit it is. So,
That's kind of what it was.
with that being said, how did the Giants season start? They started the year getting skunked on live television. I mean, I wish there was a doubleheader for that game at the same time because we wanted to switch the channels, but unfortunately, it was the only game that was there. And the Cowboys, they skunked the Giants 40-0 and fell off. I think that was like the entire tone of this season. Injuries galore. I mean, Daniel Jones tore an ACL in week 9 amidst a 12-8 start. Then they had some surprising wins and ends up with a 6-11. We saw the likes of that legend that is Tommy
DeVito.
Tommy DeVito, and then of course the second coming of Tyrod Taylor for some games, but they ended with 6-11, scored a top 10 pick, which I will get to later. But to say what went wrong for the Giants, I think from primetimesportstalk.com said the summary perfectly. What went wrong for the Giants? And I'm reading this and I quote, to say everything else would be a generalization, but this is how poorly things went in 2023. It was so bad, Wink Martindale's defense went from the middle of the road to 4th worst before he resigned. And of course, injuries happened. Daniel Jones, after that amazing MVP-like deal after signing a $160 million deal in 9 games, we saw him start. And Mike Kafka's offense falling to a near league worst in scoring. Do you want to talk about how bad this was? Anna, you mentioned that the Commanders were 31st in DVOA, right? The Giants were above them, 30th in DVOA. And if you want to talk about how bad, their offensive DVOA was negative 23%. Defensive was 3%.
Right. So they underperformed by 23% compared to how they should have performed versus the teams that they faced, basically, offensively speaking.
And if you want to go to even more stats from last year, their rushing leader, Saquon Barkley, didn't even hit 1,000 rushing yards. And their best receiver was Darius Slayton. 770 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, to be honest, their entire offense relied on Saquon Barkley. And the Giants, I mean, they depended upon their stadium having the worst turf ever in NFL history.
The fact that they changed it for the Copa America final and are changing it back, man, that's gonna boil some people's blood.
Well, they made such a big deal about wanting to change it for Copa America.
Oh yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
they were not willing to do it until, I don't know, I guess they threatened to not have the final there, and they made a crap ton of money because Lionel Messi was playing in that game, so barely played in that game. I know he got hurt, but still, it was there. I hate that stadium, and I haven't even been there.
Yeah, I think I've avoided it, so luckily for me. Anywho, let's cut it short because 2023, it's just dog shit. Let's just go with that. But with that being said, they made a ton of moves in the free agency, starting with bringing back some old familiar faces. Some John Runyon Jr. from the Green Bay Packers. He comes in. He plays. He comes in as a guard specialist. 3-year, $30 million. Devin Singletary from the Texans. I thought that was good. 3 years, $16.5 million. Drew Lock, backup quarterback for the Seahawks, comes in a 1 year, $5 million. Another big one, Jordan Phillips, defensive end. He could play as a rotation specialist. 1 year deal. Allen Robinson, last time we heard from him, he's going to be there. Jalen Mills, they bring cornerback safety and also ex-Super Bowl winner with the Eagles back in 2017, 2018. He comes in for a $1.4 million deal. Isaiah McKenzie comes from this. So basically, it's like a lot of 1 year deals that I'm seeing.
Exactly.
And I think like there was nothing that really stood out to me. It was just like more addition, more depth pieces.
They did
1 year deals.
They did sign Brian Burns though. That was the biggest
big one. Thought making a crazy trade to get Brian Burns for a 5 year, $141 million deal. For outside linebacker, and he's like 25 years old.
Yeah,
I thought that was really, really good. That was a good move.
That's a solid building block to the future.
They need him. Like they don't have anybody else.
Right.
And we'll get to that. And they did make some extensions. They extended Isaiah Simmons for a 1 year. Gunnar Olszewski, wide receiver. Isaiah Hodgins, another 1 year deal. So some players that they let go of, some players that were out. They managed to get Stanley Thomas. No, they let go of Stanley Thomas, Oliver Mark Glowinski, and Mario Goodrich. Pete, we may recognize that name. Mario Goodrich, ex-Eagle, the UDFA,
right?
Let go.
Yeah.
And then for some of the people that were let go by the Giants, oh boy, is everyone ready for this? This is going to be the best. This is going to be the spiciest one so far. Xavier McKinney, Anand, you're Bagadi Big Shot Dehi. Here you go. 4 years, $67 million.
That was oof.
And
watch out, Packers defense.
Oh, and of course, if everyone was watching Hard Knocks of the Giants, you saw the debacle that was Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles for a 3 year, 30.
They didn't even expect. I think in that episode, they were basically saying we didn't even expect that the Eagles were going to match this deal. Right. So at that point, Saquon's like, nah, I'm done. I got the money. I'm going to go.
Yep. And he basically goes back home to near ex-school Penn State. Then Ashawn Robinson, he goes to the Panthers, 3 year, 22.5. Tyrod Taylor to the Jets.
Staying in the same stadium.
Yep. 2 years. And Jihad Ward, defensive end to the Vikings. Sterling Shepard goes to the Bucks for a 1 year deal. Some significance, like, I don't know, Paris Campbell, $1.3 million deal goes to the Eagles. Shane Lemieux, guard, goes to the Saints. Cade York, kicker, backup. He goes to the Browns in less than $1 million. I think like so far the biggest ones have been Xavier McKinney and Saquon Barkley and technically Ashawn Robinson, but oh my goodness, that was, I think like when Anand and Pete in a separate chat and Abhishek, they were telling me like they're just giving us updates. Like when I saw DeAndre Swift go, I'm like, crap, this is gonna be a long road, isn't it? Then all of a sudden I get the message from either of you guys saying like Saquon Barkley signing with the Eagles. I'm like, oh my god, are you effing kidding me?
Yeah.
And I was shocked. But with that being said, in February, the Giants did make some coaching changes. So they promoted 3 coaches and added 2 new members to staff. Mike Kafka is going to be an assistant head coach in addition to his offensive coordinating. I don't know how that's going to work, but he has to fix it because like last year it was dismal.
It was god awful.
No, correction. It was dog shit. I got to use Abhishek's word of the day for that. Jerome Henderson, he's been promoted to defensive passing game coordinator in addition to secondary coach. Shia Thierry, promoted to offensive passing game coordinator in addition to his role as QB coach. Then you added 2 new assistants, Zach Kerr, defensive assistant, and Charlie Bolin added as an outside linebacker coach. So basically a couple of unknowns, but seeing some inner promotions. Definitely interesting to see Mike Kafka getting more responsibilities. I thought he should have been like under like
I thought he should have been let go.
No, more like he's right now on a pants on fire
that spot.
Basically, it's a pants on fire situation.
Yeah, he's definitely on the hot seat. Him and Brian Dable. If they don't make it work this year, if you don't see some sort of improvement in Daniel Jones, and if you guys have been seeing the videos,
pause for a bit. Did I just hear what you said coming out of your mouth? The first sentence.
What?
Improvement with Daniel Jones.
Well,
that's what I'm saying, right?
I think 2022, Daniel Jones did play really well, though.
Right.
I mean, so let's be fair. His first year with Brian Dable, he did play really well. I think Brian Dable's, he said, the biggest thing that I'm going to work on with Daniel Jones is limiting the turnovers. Because if we remember, Daniel Jones before had butterfingers. Every time he touched the ball, that man would fumble, like without a joke would fumble. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but he stopped the pick sixes, he stopped the picks, and more than anything, he stopped the fumbles because half the time he'd fumble in the red zone because he's trying to do more than he needs to. But so he regressed 100%. I don't deny that, but I still think Daniel Jones could be good. I mean, or average, not stardom, but average.
I think one of the biggest mistakes they did is re-sign him, like sign him back to the $160 million contract when you have Brian Dable in the building. Go get you another quarterback that has the potential to become something, right?
This was the draft.
This was the draft. I think you had his 5th-year option. What are you doing? Like, let it ride out. Like, if you've had 4 years, or what was it, 3 years of bad play, 1 year of good play, logic says let the 5th year ride out and see what happens. You're still gonna have to pay the piper at the end. If he ends up being good, you're still gonna have to pay him the 5-year, whatever their going rate is now. But like, you had the chance of cutting him. You could have signed, or when I say cutting him, like let him go in the free agency, re-sign Saquon, and like you said, they had the 9th pick, right?
They had the 6th pick overall.
They could have had. I'm not saying that based on how the draft went, you could have had JJ McCarthy, or you could have had Michael Penix Jr. So, and with a rookie QB, you saw, or a young QB with arm talent that can run, you saw what Brian Dable can do, and that was with Josh Allen. Josh Allen 100% has more athletic ability and talent. But like Pete said, they should have. This is poor mismanagement by the entire organization.
Joe Shane.
And this is Joe Shane,
the
same guy who let Saquon walk.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No. You're about to say something really good. My bad.
I was just gonna say it was piss poor management by that franchise.
What?
Like,
absolutely.
Correction on that. It is dog shit, man.
Dog piss poor shit, whatever it is, dude. I don't know. You just think about it. After who's the coach that they won the Super Bowl? Tom Coughlin's years.
Mm-hmm.
They have been who is it? Ben McAdoo, right? Ben McAdoo.
Oh
God
my
awful.
God.
God awful.
The definition of derp.
Yeah.
This man was projected by this clown ass guy, assistant analyst by the name of Mike Lombardi, to be a better head coach than Doug Peterson for the Eagles. Are you freaking kidding me? Ben effing McAdoo. Get the hell out of here, man.
That entire organization, top to bottom on that front office, needs to be lit in fire. Like, lock the building, throw the keys out, and light the building on fire. Like, that is awful, man. Like, you think about, what did you say, Rukshik? You gave, like, the leading receiver was Sterling Shepard, right? Or
Darius Slayton.
Darius Slayton. That should tell you how piss poor the talent is around Daniel Jones. This man cannot drop back without having a defensive end in his face.
Yes.
Before he can even complete the drop back.
Yeah.
Like, Saquon Barkley, he will touch the ball and gets tackled within a 1 yard gain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he will end the game with 80 yards. It's because he busted one open for 78 yards.
Yeah.
I think there's a game out there where he ran for 85 yards, and it was because he ran at 83. He ran for 83 yards on one play, and he kept losing yards.
Yeah.
And then would make yards, then lose yards. It was like 1 yard gain, 2 yard gain, 1 yard loss, 3 yard loss. Like how do you not learn from this?
Pete, Pete, I would like to hear your input on this, man. Like, can you explain to me, like, as I'm a fifth grader? Help me understand this.
What are we talking about?
Exactly. That's
how bad they were.
You don't even have to pay attention. That's how bad they are.
But yeah, I mean, like,
you're talking about Daniel Jones, like, being bad.
No, we're just talking about how bad the management is of the Giants.
Oh yeah. It's bad management, man. I mean, like, I don't know if they even consulted Brian Dable's actual advice to, like, do we hold on to him? Like, was the 5th-year option this year or last year?
It was last year.
Last year. They re-signed him.
I mean, you gotta
with the 5th year.
What's happening in the upcoming drafts and free agency as a general manager, right? You have to foresee, like, okay, you know, this guy might be available, so why don't we write this out and then get Brian Dable an actual piece he can actually work on? Because it took like, what, 3-4 years for Josh Allen to be good. So it'll take time. But if you get a quarterback that has promise, like, you have a good team for a long time, right?
And Pete, you just mentioned 5th year, right? In 2023, so if they had started last year with Daniel Jones on his 5th year, they would have had to pay him $22.38 million, and he would have been a free agent today.
They could have retained Saquon.
Instead, what do they do? And retain Saquon. Instead, what they do, and again, it is mismanagement and recency bias. He had a decent run, obviously won a playoff game since Eli Manning, and they re-signed him to a 4-year, $160 million deal, $92 million guaranteed, and they doubled his salary only for the play to decline. Like, jeez, that's awful.
Right. So, and then there's a funny episode in Hard Knocks where they are, I think this was right before the draft, and Joe Shane's kids are in his office, and he asked them, hey, what should we draft, or who should we draft, right? And his son is like, go get Jaden Daniels. You only have one shot. Go for the kill, something like that. He is literally telling his own dad to go for the kill, and Joe Shane just refused to do it.
Well, I mean, what could he have done? You mean trade up and do all that stuff? But, like,
I mean, yes, that is true. But it just goes to show the mismanagement is what you're talking about.
Did you watch that one video of when they were talking about how they're gonna ride with Daniel Jones again, and Brian Dable just, like, looked down? He was like, I can't effing believe I have to do, like, this version of the Hard Knocks, and mainly being the Giants, is the best part. Because they're just showing more and more how bad their management is, and
the lack of communication between the two. And that's the important part, right? If it was properly communicated, I'm sure Brian Dable would not be so depressed thinking about dealing with Daniel Jones. But you look at the training camp videos as well. He's missing clear out routes. He is missing clear out routes to Devin Singletary in training camp. He's overthrowing them by 5 yards.
That's insane. I
Out
mean, I haven't
routes.
even seen those training camp videos, but now that you're telling me this, I'm like, I'd rather skip to watch that part because, and I'll get to the rookies because we got to give them a chance to show them how they can pull off in the NFL. Like, as we were talking about the Daniel Jones contract situation, I decided to pull up spottrack.com to look up the cap hits on this one. I'm going to see if I could try and share my screen so we can all make sense of this madness. Is everyone ready for this?
Go ahead.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let me see.
I think Anand, you have to pin Pete.
It doesn't allow me to pin more than 3 people.
It's fine. But let me just open this right here. Okay. All right. So, with that being said, look at the Daniel Jones contract. What cap hit is at 47.
Yeah.
It's almost 50 million. Dead cap right now you're looking at $69 million.
That means they can't even get out of it if they even try. If they want.
Can you click Raksha, click his name? Click his name on there. They tell you what the out could be in what year if you scroll down. Like, he has a potential out next year, but look at the hit. 22.21 in dead cap.
Yeah.
Like,
that's awful.
It was a poorly mismanaged contract. I think we had a conversation a couple of days ago regarding how we should view like the big latest contract signings, but to see that players that don't deserve to these types of with their play are making this amount of money, that's poor management overall. And I mean, as much as we would like to go and shit talk a lot of our opponents for mismanaging, because that's how we view the game is, like, it's just insane. Anyway, moving on, just so we can get the ball rolling, unlike letting it go for a fumble. I'll let Daniel Jones. Let's move on, shall we? So they made it. So the Giants had a decent draft. Their first pick, they selected the best available in Malik Neighbors, good wide receiver. Definitely starting number 1 over Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, Allen Robinson, and Isaiah McKenzie. Then in the second round pick, they got a safety in Tyler Nubin from Minnesota Golden Gophers. Definitely a scrappy guy. Pete and I had an idea that he could fall to the Eagles with one of our 2 second round picks, but you'll get to that later. Then they also added more to their corner group by getting Andrew Phillips. This is not a Andrew like how you spell it, Andreu. This Andru Phillips from Kentucky corner. Basically, you're adding more to that depth. Going to be behind Cordell Flott or Deontay Banks. Then Tyrone Tracy, backup running back from Purdue. Basically, he'll be behind sit behind Eric Gray and Devin Singletary. And then you add linebacker depth, Darius Musau, linebacker from UCLA. But if I'm looking at their defense overall, they're going to go basic 3-4. You have Dexter Lawrence and Bobby Okereke, good extension. Then adding in Brian Burns was definitely a big boon because I don't know what the hell Kayvon Thibodeau is doing, because from what I'm seeing, he may be ending up like a bust. And we don't like to use that bust label a lot, but it is appearing that way. And plus, don't forget, Evan Neal, their other pick, is out. I think he's currently out right now. And you have Jermaine Illuminor.
Yeah.
Illuminor. I mean, from the way it's looking at it, man, it's like you want to laugh at them, but you can't. You just have to like shake your head in pity. So with that being said, for the Giants, this does not bode well for you. Let me tell you why. Because this season, you're basically Daniel Jones is recovering from an injury. And it's
an ACL too.
It's ACL tear. It's very, very hard to come back. And even if he does come back hard, the production of the play is going to go down low. I don't see your offensive line being rebuilt. It'll take a lot of time to adjust to Brian Daboll defense. And you'll let go of basically your best weapon, and you're going to be depending upon a rookie like Malik Neighbors to like shoot you through the moon. No offense. I only see the Giants winning 4 games. And
yeah, go ahead.
I have a beat the dole moment right here. End of the season, Brian Daboll is going to be looking for a new job, or he's going to want himself to get the hell out of New York Giant and get out of East Rutherford. I can guarantee you that for sure. And I mean, the only Shandar player I could think of, Malik Neighbors.
Okay.
He could be like the top rookie safeties. Correction. Top
receivers.
Rookie wide receivers.
Yeah.
This team is getting me so confused that I'm not getting positions right. Like, what the hell? On a good day of all days.
Exactly.
This is what the Giants do to me, man. And I live here in freaking Albany. That says a lot. Although I'm technically in Bills country, but that's another story for sure. I have the Giants going 4-13. And Brian Daboll looks somewhere else.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I have.
Alrighty. Up next, the first of 2 spicy teams. Abhishek. Let's talk about the Cowboys.
All right. So I brought a little prop to the show.
Okay.
Because this has been the apparent tagline for the entire season.
I gotta see this.
Is that it's one for all and we're all in.
Oh,
right?
Man, this hurts me.
That was the line. And this is the Mavs shirts. Shout out to Luke and the Mavs for a great run. Yeah, what to say? We know how the season ended. We know how it started. Like how the Giants season fatefully started. The Cowboys season was a smash hit. Opened the season 40-0. We had a great, I believe, we played the Giants first, then we played the Jets next. We slobbered the Jets because we know Aaron Rodgers got hurt. We had to play Zach Wilson, which was awful. We know the loss against the Cardinals, and then the 49ers losses, and then as I've always right when the cow, like Stephen A. Smith says, like, just wait for Thanksgiving, it'll come back down. What I forget his line.
What can go wrong?
What can go wrong will go wrong. Exactly. And that's what happened. The loss against I was on the high, right? We were on the top of the roller coaster when they beat the Eagles in Dallas, smashed the shit out of you guys, and
fair enough.
Dak was insane that game, right? I think he threw for 4 touchdowns. He had
I think that's when he was about to cement his MVP campaign.
He was MVP candidate right there. I think he might have with who ended up. Oh, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar.
Lamar and Dak were 1A, 1B at that moment. Then the Bills game happened. Then the Dolphins game happened. The Lions game almost we lost it, and then the Commanders game. Who cares? And obviously we lost. He didn't make MVP, and you're like, okay, this will fuel Dak to push through. CeeDee Lamb's having an All-Pro season. Micah Parsons still being All-Pro. Deron Bland breaks the pick 6 record. We're sitting tight. Then the fateful afternoon, evening of that Packers versus Cowboys game. This is like November 18th, 2023. Whoever India cricket fans, do you guys know about the day? The fact that you guys don't know the date that I just mentioned should tell you that you guys blocked it out.
Yes,
it's exactly how I blocked out that playoff game because I was on the MVP Prescott run.
Yeah,
just every drive I was texting. I was like, "Yeah, he's got this." And then the pick 6 happens, and I'm like, "Never mind. I should stop talking for a while." And then we were down 48-16, right? 40-16, whatever it was. And then it happened to be a decent game of 48 to 20-30 or something like that. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know how the Cowboys season ended. It's clown show meme. But Jerry Jones opened his mouth and said that we're going all in because I believe this was one of the best teams that we've actually put out there.
Legitimately, you guys were
top to bottom was one of the best Cowboys teams since I don't know years. I don't remember the last time they had such a top down great team. He said we're going all in. Obviously, we lost Dan Quinn. We knew that was going to happen based on the fact that he's been getting head coaching opportunities, but he kept coming back saying that he wanted to finish the job. Didn't do it. Went to the Commanders. But I have a question for you guys. Sure. What is the meaning? And we can go one by one. What is your guys' meaning about going all in? Whoever wants to go first. Pete, you can go first.
Pete, go ahead.
I would think going all in means finishing the job and getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. That would be going all in. Whether it's an easy job to do or not, that's what going all in means, right? So at least get to the Super Bowl. So
yep. Rakshak?
I think Pete said it best. Like when you by the means of like going all in, you're basically banking on one last chance. You're spending every single bit of resource to get the best amount of players. Mm-hmm. You have to bite the bullet on some contracts because you want to get the best talent available, saying, hey, this team can go to the Super Bowl. You coach your ass off. You design your plays, and they play their hearts off, and they make it to that promised land, which is the Super Bowl. If they win, that's what I call all in.
Okay.
Anand, do you have another word, or if you can give me one word, what would you say all in is?
For me, it's, I mean, I concur on their definitions, but I do have an example, and that's Howie Roseman. He went all in for that Super Bowl victory.
The LA Rams went all in on that Super Bowl victory.
That's true.
Yes.
So as I will give a example of my feeling, I'm going to pull up Skip Bayless's tweet of all in. And if you guys can see it, it says all in, and thank God for the comma, my ass. Exactly how everyone feels today in Cowboys Nation, that Jerry Jones has once again, and I believe for the first time, Cowboys fans have given up or don't have as much hope. We are known to be the most obnoxious fans. We're known to be diehards, ride hard. We will go through the thick and thin, the star. That's who we are. And you go look at practice videos, and there is no one out there in those stands.
Yes.
We're talking California. People want to go out for vacation, watch the Cowboys. It's free open practice. No one's out there. No one's chilling with the team. Yeah, it's pretty down bad, I think. And it all starts off with, what the hell are we going to do with these players that are entering free agency? Mm-hmm. That has been the biggest story. That will be the biggest story. And I think that is going to be the overall cloud on this team until we figure out what's going on. First of all, the most important position on a team, the quarterback, Dak Prescott. Whether you have the belief that he could win you a Super Bowl, whether or not, I'm on the camp that I don't think he can win you a Super Bowl. But he could probably get you there, but he can't.
He needs a team.
He's a free agent.
Yeah.
He needs a team, and he's had the team. So, like I said, this is the best constructed team, and he didn't do it. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think it can go he can't go further than this. So, he's on the last year of his deal, and he's now asking for $60 million a year for, 5-6 years. Yeah. I mean, you can't like, and it sucks. I know it's a big number, but that's the market. That's the unfortunate world that we live in, that the quarterback makes a crap ton of money for no reason, right? Then you have your all-pro receiver who should be paid tomorrow, or should be paid yesterday, actually, is the right word. CeeDee Lamb, walking on his final deal. He's going to be a free agent. And then you have your all-pro pass rusher who is also going to be a free agent. And let's remember, you only have one franchise tag. So Dak Prescott, when he re-signed, he said he wrote in his contract, because of the previous 2 times when he came into the table, the Cowboys franchise tagged him twice, made him play, I think, 1 year on the franchise tag. That's when he broke his ankle and then got the big deal. Or that might have been the second time. I don't remember. But
I think the second
in his contract, his contract, he has a no trade clause, if I'm correct, and a no franchise tag clause. So it will walk away for free. the CeeDee Lamb could be franchise tag. Micah Parsons could be franchise tag. Obviously, Parsons is on his 5th year, or he has his 5th year option, but he's going to want to get paid mainly because of what Nick Bosa and all of them are going to get paid. So that's the cloud that's on the Cowboys. But when, again, like Pete said, when you go all in, you do anything, and I think Rukchuk said this too, you do anything and everything you can, pay all the money, empty out the pockets, don't give a crap what it takes, get to the end goal.
Mhm.
And what does the Cowboys do? We sign Ezekiel Elliott to a 1-year, I forget what it's saying. It's like a really bad signing. I think it's a 1-year, $3 million deal.
Yeah,
that was our move, guys. We're like the last dance, honestly. At this rate, it's going to be Dak and Zeke, one last ride.
Yeah,
Vibes, 214 vibes.
Oh God, you said
But
right.
Zeke is going to be.
You said
Zeke's
right.
going to be
no. We don't need him. We don't need him, Rukchuk. We don't need him.
I'm trying my best.
No, we don't need him. Continue.
What's up, Steelers country? This is Russell Wilson right here.
God,
We're about to get ready for the ride. You know, when I hear the ride, I think about all the unlimited things that we're gonna do with the Steelers offense, baby. Steelers country, let's weld. Damn it! Who said ride?
My bad. But yes, we are our biggest signings this offseason, and I shit you not, is the signings that we've done. Ezekiel Elliott, 29-year-old washed running back, and he is washed based on the play that he's had.
Mm-hmm.
1-year, $3 million deal. Royce Freeman, who got cut from the Rams midway through last year, 1 year, $1.25 million. And this signing I think is good because of the vet leadership, but he's kind of old. Is Eric Kendricks.
Yeah.
He was a big deal on the Vikings. He came to the Chargers. He played pretty well, but he's 32 years old. I mean, I would want more youth in my defense, but that kind of happened. We did re-sign some players, Enrico Dowell, CJ Goodwin, all 1-year deals. Who really cares? But again, the departures, we're talking about all in, but the Cowboys did the opposite of all in. They did all out. Tony Pollard left to the Tennessee Titans. Michael Gallup left to Vegas, but he retired.
Mm-hmm.
Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Biadasz, Dante Fowler all went to the Commanders following Dan Quinn, which I think is huge. Jonathan Hankins, who was part of our rotational D tackle, went to the Seattle Seahawks. Neville Gallimore played a huge role in the 40-0 game. I believe he stripped Daniel Jones the first time. He went to the Dolphins. And Noah
Igbenogany.
Yeah. He went to the Commanders too. And he's 25 years old, cornerback, which I think is a development piece for Dan Quinn. It's going to be huge. But for me, this hurts the most because I thought he was going to retire a Cowboy. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to go to the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Tyron Smith, our left tackle, the blind side for Dak, for Tony Romo whenever he was there. He's now Aaron Rodgers' blindside protector, which is going to be huge because, Aaron Rodgers needs it and the Jets need it. But again,
they need that offense.
Other side, Tyron Smith has been hurt. So, that's a nostalgic feeling. Huh?
They also need a new field of grass instead of
exactly.
What they got of the Giants. So
exactly. So it's a win-win, but again, Tyron Smith's going to the worst turf in the world in MetLife. So God forbid nothing happens to him. But for him, it's usually been back and ankle, I believe, has been his problem. So hopefully nothing's wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Leighton Vander Esch, he had that nasty injury versus the 49ers. I forget who did it. I believe it was George Kittle or someone. Trent Williams pushed.
Neck injury, right?
Neck injury. He hurt his neck, was out for the year. He's officially retired. This one is really surprising to me. And I think in our text, we talked about this. Stephon Gilmore is still a free agent out there. And for a team, and mainly since the Cowboys had an injury with Trayvon Diggs, Gilmore stepped up. It was supposed to be Diggs and Gilmore protecting this, being the lead cornerbacks. Gilmore ended up being CB1, and I know Deron Bland took over. But I think Gilmore played a fantastic job. We remember what he did to A.J. Brown in that game versus the Cowboys in Dallas. He did, I don't want to say shut down, but he did a very good job agitating AJ Brown and did not let him get open on those drag routes and those slants. He played pretty well.
I thought a correction on that. I thought he had an excellent game against AJ Brown, and I think that was when Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson went into, pardon my French, went into an effing turtle form and say, "Hey, let's go with 5 basic offensive plays and a freaking go route on a blitz."
Just drag, slant, go, screen, tush push. That's all.
Madden, you could literally go on Madden and say, "Oh." And Madden had more plays than this.
Madden had more plays. And then Jaron Kearse, who is a starting strong safety, was a free agent. I mean, honestly, I don't know what to say about the Cowboys. It seems like a very this is what I feel is happening right now. Jerry Jones is too scared to do a full-on rebuild, which is strip it down to the bare bones and bring it back up, because he wants relevancy, right? He's all about being relevant. Right. And if he lets Dak go, if he doesn't re-sign CeeDee Lamb, and if he doesn't do all those things, who's going to watch the Cowboys? And believe me, we have those players today on their last year, and no one wants to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the Cowboys are trying to do. I think, in all honesty, they're just hoping that Dak does not play well. Dak doesn't put up the stats that he did. Is not that MVP guy. Goes back to just a guy, and they can let him walk and not feel bad about it. They'll just re-sign Micah and CD and just draft someone. But the problem is, if you look at the schedule outside of a couple of games, which I believe is the AFC North, which has got the Ravens, the
Browns,
Bengals. I mean, the entire division can be hard. You never know. The Steelers can be good or bad. Then we also play the AFC South with the Texans. Or we don't play the AFC South. Sorry, we play.
No,
the
you
Texans. We do. No, we
yeah,
can't.
you do. You play the
Texans. 2 AFC Souths, right? We do play the Texans, but not the full South. That's
yeah. You're not.
And then we play the AFC or NFC South, which is probably going to be a wash. Like everyone, they all suck. But we've got some hard games. Of course, we've got the 49ers. And then we got the Lions. We know how good they were. The Lions were good. We got to play them. I mean, I just think the problem is you can't expect Dak to play bad, because we've got a lot of winnable games that we're going to end up being 12-5 or 13-4, honestly. Like I wouldn't be shocked about it, and being a first round or be the first seed and lose the divisional game. Like I wouldn't be shocked about that, because that's what this team is built. We have not made any changes to tell me that we've taken that next step. And you could ask me, what's that next step? What is it? I don't know what the next step is, because it feels like, because with each of the teams that we've talked about, right? We've talked about the Giants, we've talked about the Commanders. We said Giants need a new management. That's what started. Start fresh. The Commanders, they're on their right step. They stripped it down. They're making their way up. The Cowboys, from top to bottom, had the best team in the league, I think, outside the Chiefs, obviously, but the Chiefs had their holes. I think the Cowboys receiving core was better than the Chiefs.
Yes.
I think the offensive line was better than the Chiefs. The defensive line was slightly better than the Chiefs. Like, outside of Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, I think the Cowboys were the best team in the NFC. But we somehow, some way find out, outside of the Niners, I know the Niners were good too, but at this point, I don't know what's all in, what you do. Based on how the season ended, you could say that Micah Parsons needs to shut up and stop talking. That's one thing that he needs to do. And I was talking to a friend earlier, and I think, and someone said, I think Cowboys are gonna re-sign Dak, re-sign CD, and let Micah walk, because you can find pass rushers easier than you can find quarterbacks. And I agree.
Yes,
it's difficult to find a quarterback. But how many Micah Parsons are out there?
Yeah, and he's young.
He's
young.
young. He's a generational talent.
He's a generational talent. I mean, we're talking about. I believe they ended up being the top 5 ranked defense. Their defensive DVOA was negative 8.7. That's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
like they had an amazing defense led by Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and obviously Jerron Bland and all this stuff. But I saw that and I read that and I was like, we can only like write or name 5 defensive ends that as good as Micah Parsons, and I don't think you can name 5 of them. Like Nick Bosa might be the best one. I don't know who else you can
Miles
say.
Garrett, TJ Watt,
Miles Garrett, like TJ. Yeah, there's like a handful. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't name top 5 receivers out like without CeeDee Lamb post this year. Obviously,
right?
The top 5 moves around because of injuries and all that stuff. But like CeeDee Lamb played like a top 5 All-Pro number 1 receiver. And Dak, he had his MVP year. I mean, if I were the Cowboys, if I were Jerry Jones, I would trade Dak Prescott today. Like, just go get some. Mainly because he doesn't have. You can't franchise tag him. Get a freaking asset back, man. I don't care if it's a 3rd round pick. Just get something back for him. Don't let him walk. Don't be like the Mavs that let Jalen Brunson walk and watch him ball out for the Knicks. And then here we are sitting doing nothing. Like, right? Like, trade him. I know it's gonna. Cooper Rush isn't the guy. Just
you also have Trey Lance, so you could see if he's.
Have you seen the videos of Trey Lance throwing it straight to the defender, bro?
Oh no,
no!
What's
I think that's an inside job. Trey Lance wants Dak Prescott re-sign. He's just throwing picks nonstop to make that. Watch Dak re-sign and Trey Lance is launching the ball through. Like, come on, Trey Lance. It's the opposite. You want to win the job, not lose the job. But sorry, P. I know you had your hands up. What's up?
So, question: like, can you trade Dak? Like, doesn't he have a no trade clause?
I mean, I believe he does. I mean, I can look it up again.
But what about your draft picks, though? I thought
if you can trade Dak, the perfect place for Dak. I don't know if the Raiders have money, but that would be the perfect.
That would be good.
That would be great for him.
Because if I'm like, who's the coach of the Raiders?
Antonio Pierce.
Antonio Pierce.
If I'm Antonio Pierce, you already know. If you're a person of color, you don't have a long leash, right? So you need to get your quarterback in order to win.
Aiden O'Connell is their quarterback.
And Gardner Minshew.
Minshew Mania, baby.
They have $30 million next year.
You need a decent quarterback. If you have Dak with Devontae Adams, you have a good chance of even
competing as
a wildcard spot, right?
Wildcard spot, yeah. And I agree. And you brought up the contract. Yes, he has a no tag clause and he's got a no trade clause. So I mean, and if I'm Dak, why do I want if the Cowboys and Jerry are going to hold me this long? Why do I want to give them an asset back? Like, let them die on their own. Like, I will go, and he's gonna. What's the going rate for a quarterback today? 55 plus.
60. It's gonna be 60. With
he's
Dak,
gonna get 60.
It's gonna be 60.
Yeah, with Dak is gonna be 60. So I mean, and if I'm the Raiders, I sign him, or I wait. I think a lot of teams like the Raiders. I can't think of the Jets to a certain extent, depending on what Aaron Rodgers and his whole drugs wanted him to do.
And all that.
Like,
could be the Steelers.
The Steelers,
they have $90 million next year.
They do. There are teams out there that are a quarterback away from being a legit wild card playoff like team. Yeah. Not saying Dak again is going to take you to that next level, but Dak could take a Raiders from being awful to the wild card spot. And if I'm him, I don't move. I don't budge. I just say, okay, play me. The only sucky part is you risk the fact of getting injured, and then that collapses everything. Truly, if I'm Dak, I don't listen to the Cowboys. I say F you. I sit. I just wait for free agency and walk out. Like,
so you hold out on that.
I would hold out. If I'm Dak as a player. If I'm Jerry, I try to find a way to make peace with Dak and say, will you take this deal? If you don't want it, I'm trading you. Tell me where you want to go, right? And we can do it. But yeah, the Cowboys are in kind of like a hope.
I think Jerry might be fine with that if he does do that, because next year Shadur Sanders is coming on the draft, right?
Oh yeah,
what's his dad to coach him, and you already know his dad played for the team. You know, you got that, man. Like,
oh yeah, we do. We'll have a lot of cap. We'll get a big portion of it out with Dak leaving, and because I believe his cap hit when he leaves next year, it's a positive $40 million. So
wow, you guys have $67 million in cap space next year.
Yeah, and that's without re-signing Micah and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
so
67.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So that's
but
hard.
also one thing I wanted to ask about Abhishek is like I did take a look at the draft picks for the Cowboys. I mean, it looked pretty. I mean, it looked pretty good, but I think like what it did is reinforce like some of the things that some of the holes that they needed to fill up with. So I thought it was good.
Well, so the Cowboys and props to them and Will McClay mainly their scouting team and the personnel. They've been drafting really well since
Cowboys are on a draft.
2010, I believe.
Yeah.
Since Will McClay, I will never forget 2014. The infamous Jerry Jones wanted Johnny Manziel and was begging the Cowboys to draft Johnny Manziel, but Will McClay stepped up and said no because Tony Romo was the quarterback. We need to solidify the offensive line and drafted Zach Martin. And now we know Zach Martin is a first ballot Hall of Fame player.
Yep.
So they've been drafting phenomenally. DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons, like you said, Trayvon Diggs. And so Tyler Guyton, looking at videos and watching his camp, he's been busting Micah Parsons' butt, man. He has not allowed Micah Parsons to beat him. He's been practicing in the left tackle position, so he's going to be replacing Tyron Smith, which is big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
But that is huge. With, I believe, if I'm correct, they still have Terrence Steele that's going to be on the right side, but he is coming off an ACL injury. Zach Martin will still stay at the right guard. Their center position's a little in flux because technically they don't have a true center at that position today. And then I believe Tyler Smith and Cooper Beebe, who they drafted, have been practicing at the left guard and center position. So the Cowboys, they have done a good job building through the trenches, and they've set that you know the
standard,
the standard and the baseline. It's going up from there. We know the defense has gotten a lot better, or I shouldn't say gotten a lot better, but the defense has still got the pieces. They're getting a big addition back in Trayvon Diggs coming back from his ACL injury. Obviously, coming off of ACL injuries, that doesn't bode well for the first year, but we do need him to step up. We got Deron Bland. You know, funny, I think Deron Bland's a rookie free agent next year too.
Wow.
Because if I'm correct, Deron Bland is a 5th round pick. And so he will probably be looking for his deal. But I could be wrong. Sorry, I'm just looking that up. Sorry. He's going into his second to last year. He's getting paid $985,000. Next year he's going to be paid $1.1 million. He's going to want that deal, mainly coming off a fantastic year. If he has any part of half of what he did last year, he's going to get the bag somewhere.
Yeah.
So Zach Martin is also a free agent.
Zach Martin, and I believe Zach Martin's going to retire. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Zach Martin's 34 years old.
Yeah.
If I may be plus or minus a couple years, but Zach Martin's going to retire. I think the Cowboys have wasted so many good players' careers that, I mean, I don't know. Like, you asked me last year what the Cowboys could have done. I could have told you we needed to re-sign another receiver because we didn't have a receiver outside of CeeDee Lamb. You know, get a better running back. Zeke was washed. This year, man, I don't know what to tell you. This season looks like another 12-win season. Mike McCarthy's going to get his 4th straight year. He's going to sound great. He's going to say all the right things. Also say stupid stuff like monkey butt and say, or what do you say, monkey butt powder or something like that?
I don't even want to know.
And then get like demolished in the playoffs, and then we're back. But the good part is, I think it's a reality check for Jerry. The moment they lose, everyone becomes a free agent, including Mike McCarthy. The entire coaching staff leaves. Dak becomes a free agent. CeeDee Lamb becomes a free agent. Micah has one more year left. Tank Lawrence is gone to.
Yeah.
I mean, got a lot of pieces to fill. Zach Martin becomes a free agent, right? So I guess if you want to ask me what I predict the team to be, I think they're going to be the same exact thing that they were. I think they're going to be 12-5 or 13-4. With a couple of losses, I wouldn't be shocked if. I think, depending, they're going to sweep the Giants. They're going to sweep the Commanders for sure. The Eagles,
split.
I think they're going to split the Eagles. They're going to lose
Again.
in Philadelphia and win in Dallas. I think that's what's going to happen. The NFC South is going to be a wash for them. They might lose to Tampa Bay. It depends on when they play Atlanta. Will Kirk Cousins be back to who he truly is? That's a different story. But they're going to lose to the Bengals. I believe they're going to lose to the Bengals.
Yes.
The Texans, the Ravens. Honestly, wouldn't be shocked if they lost to the Browns being in Cleveland. Shout out Tom Brady. That's his first game as a commentator.
Nice.
And the Lions are going to be a toss-up, honestly. But I don't know, man. Cowboys giving them 12-5, 13-4. Dak's going to have CeeDee Lamb's going to be all-pro again. I think he's going to play out. If he doesn't get re-signed, he's going to ball out. He's going to want that deal. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes and plays with Kyler Murray in Arizona and teams up with Marvin Harrison Jr. That'd be badass.
Marv, CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride. Oh.
But the only thing is that can't happen because he will be franchise tagged if he doesn't re-sign. So that will happen. But I think this is the final year of Dak. This is the final year of Mike McCarthy. If Dak gets re-signed, congratulations, Dak. If by the time this gets posted and you get re-signed, congratulations. You better fucking win. But I think it's NFC Championship game or Super Bowl or bust. Honestly, it's what it's been for the last 29 years. It's going to be the same way for the next 29 years. Like what more can be different? So yeah, I thought this would be a more spicier moment, but the more I kept reading about it, the more depressed I got. So I was like, whatever. But
no,
yeah.
I mean. Yeah. I concur with you in terms of the amount of Cowboys fans that we've seen that just get a grip on reality and they just see just how sad it is right now. And we can see that not statistically, but we do see that from, training camp. I think one of the reporters said that it was the lowest attendance at a Cowboys training camp in decades or something like that.
Yeah.
Some long time. So yeah,
outside of COVID, that was the worst one. Yeah.
Alrighty.
And
what?
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's horrible.
Well, we hope that the Cowboys can be competitive, so we'll have some more spicy takes.
I will say though, this is one I think a key note to say is we've been talking about bad management from the Giants and the Commanders. The Cowboys have bad management too. They're just covered up by great players that they've drafted, like Micah and Deron Bland and Traylon Diggs and Jake Ferguson, players like that. They have covered up how crap the front office has done. So I think the last big signing that Jerry Jones has ever big name signing has been T.O., if I'm correct. I think that's the last true big signing that he's had.
True.
That's made an impact. I might be wrong. There might be someone out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe T.O. is the last true free agent that he signed. So that's back in 2005. So
yeah,
that sucks.
Damn.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you for that breakdown, Abhishek. Yeah, I mean, there's not much we can say. We just need to watch
mental breakdown and stats breakdown. That's what that was.
Yeah,
emotional breakdown.
That one meme from the great Stephen He. Emotional damage.
Exactly.
Something like that.
All right. So now we move on to the last team in this division, who might be the first team next year. The Eagles. Take it away.
Take it away, Pete Nathan.
So we all saw what happened last year, right? Hot start, 10-1, winning every game. The year before we went to the Super Bowl, and lost by 3 points. But the next year they brought the same type of momentum. There was a little bit of changes in the staff because Shane Steichen left to take the job in Indianapolis. And then Jonathan Gannon, I think how he set that up so he can take the Arizona job, right? Once that left, once both of those guys left, you had two new coordinators, Brian Johnson, Sean Desai. Sean Desai has been a coordinator in the past. He knew a little bit. He did a decent job, got him to 10-1. He won enough games. We beat Patrick Mahomes. We beat Josh Allen, right? Did enough. Brian Johnson, on the other hand, though, wasn't given. This is like, because Nick Sirianni came on and said it was his offense, the same offense when the Eagles were 2-5 in 2021, and right before Jonathan Gannon said, "Hey, why don't you hand this off to Shane?" And then they ended up going to the playoffs. The next year they go to the Super Bowl, lose, and then Shane leaves for a job. Right. The problem with the Eagles organization, like unlike Cowboys organization, is everything is run by the general manager and the owner, right? So they have to get a head coach that's going to say yes sir to everything, right? So when you go to that level of getting a head coach just to run the CEO type of operations instead of like a head coach that's a good play caller, this is kind of the stuff that you're going to run into, because if your team is good and if you have a good coordinator, you're going to do good, and then you're going to kind of come down. So we saw after the 49ers game, like they basically, like every team got the recipe to beat the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
And then we panicked. And then we, instead of riding with Sean Desai till the end of the season, we made the change to have the backup guy who is Matt Patricia. And this is why I hate Javi for doing shit like this, right? Always gets like somebody to back somebody else's job in case they don't do well, they take that job, right? The same thing happened in 2016, 2017. The way it was set up is they hired Doug, they got Frank, right? And they had Jim Schwartz, right? So the plan was, if Doug sucked that year in 2016, they wanted to basically get Jim Schwartz to be the coach and then get Doug out of there and had Frank Reich as the play caller, right? And they were also ready to fire Frank for some reason, and Doug like stuck up for him. And Doug in 2017 said, "This team is a lot like the Green Bay Packers of the 1996 Green Bay Packers." Nobody believed Doug, right? Only Doug had faith, and we ended up crushing it that year. We lost Carson Wentz. Nobody believed Doug again. He said, "You know what? We'll be fine with Nick Foles." We ended up winning the Super Bowl, beat Tom Brady, right?
Yeah, and
so Doug was a play caller and a leader, and he knew his worth, and he was getting up to a certain point where, like, you know what? I know my worth. Howie, shut the fuck up, right? And Howie, like, sometimes Howie needs to do his own thing. He's good at the salary cap. He's good at all that stuff, but he should not budge in the football operations of things, right? And that's what happened. They got Doug out of there because Doug wanted more say. That's basically why they said mutual understanding of, like, they actually made Doug lose the last game against the Washington Commanders.
Oh, the tank job.
New York, the Tank Bowl. That was because of Howie. If you didn't lose that game, you're not getting Devontae Smith, right? You're not getting, because you're not getting the asset to trade down and then trade up again, because you wouldn't have got the 6th or 7th roster spot, right? So, like, to a certain degree, it's good, but a certain degree, you're losing the essence of having a good coach who can last with the players, right? Like when Brian Dable went to Josh Allen, right? You had basically Brian Dable building up Josh Allen, right? 2018, 2019, you didn't see a whole lot of Josh Allen. Nobody said he was a lead, he was a good quarterback. But when 2020 hit, he was there. And 2021, he was like one of the best quarterbacks. So it takes time, right? It takes time. So hopefully this year, the Eagles hired two competent defensive and offensive coordinators. Kellen Moore,
Preach it, Pete. Preach it.
One of them who did help Dak come in his career. Kellen Moore used to be, Boise State, came to the league, was under Tony Romo, backup quarterback, but usually backup quarterbacks are the best coaches because they learn from the best and they know, they have patience and they know how to teach, right? So he actually made Dak better. And when Dak got Amari Cooper, his passing game went through the roof in 2018, right? So it took a gradual progression for him to get there. And I know he was with Justin Herbert last year and nothing came out of it, but that was 1 year, right? 1 year does not tell the story of a development of a quarterback, right? You need to understand how long it takes. Now, are the Eagles patient enough to get this done? Are another team going to come and sweep up Kellen Moore next year? We don't know, right? But we will see how all plays out this year, and I'm hoping we don't win as big, because I don't want to lose Kellen Moore. If Kellen Moore and Jalen are working and like you see development throughout the year, I kind of want us to like win, like lose a couple games. If we're gonna get in the playoffs, barely get in the playoffs, and then like nobody, Kellen Moore, he's a good coordinator, we're gonna get him as head coach. You know what I mean? We don't want that, right? We want Kellen Moore to go another year so Jalen has more time to grow, because Kellen Moore is coming from the pocket passer side of things, and Jalen is more of a RPO guy, which is why some people argue it's better to get Cliff Kingsbury, because he's that type of coach. And that could have worked. This is just why Shane Steichen worked so well for Jalen. Yeah. But Jalen's problem is he's never consistently had a play caller that's been through with him for like a consecutive amount of years, right? It's like they're there for a year, they're there for a year or two, and then they're gone, right? So let's see how they build up Jalen. Like if you looked at Michael Vick when he was with Atlanta, it was a different player. But when he came with Andy Reid built him up to be a better pocket passer. Not saying he took his run game away. He was still scrambling, but he became a better pocket passer with Andy Reid. And even Mike said this, he wishes that he had Andy Reid like the whole bit of his career, so he could actually developed more, right? And guys like Jalen, they're going to need their legs as well as their arms, right? They can't win with one or the other. Yeah. Right. Like Jalen Hurts needs to scramble. He needs to do his thing. He needs to let him do his thing, because that's what it makes him more dynamic. That's why he was such a good quarterback in 2022, because Shane let him do both of those things. Right. You can't just make him a Donovan McNabb and like, just pass. No. That's not going to work. You got to understand what's their strengths and work towards that. And I hope Kellen and him can get on the right relationship and get that done. Right. With that said, man, we did let go a couple of people. We were kind of high when we signed these people, especially Kevin Byard. We got him towards like the mid trade, the Howie Roseman Classic. Every year he does one of these things. Didn't work out too well. I think we let go of Avante Maddox. We brought him back. But let me walk through the free agency of what we did.
Preach it, Pete. Preach it.
This might help the Eagles, but let's see, right? So the first signing, we took Saquon Barkley away from the Giants.
Might help, just a smidge.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And this surprised everybody, because Howie Roseman never pays running backs. This is like the first year he's ever paid a running back this amount of money. Like I think the last guy to get paid closer to this amount of money was like Shady in 2014, right? Like after that, they've never paid running backs. They never, and that's Eagles don't do. That's not a thing Eagles do. We don't pay running backs. They're like we're by committee type of team. We're like we just don't value them as much. Same thing with linebackers, unfortunately, right? So the next guy, I think this could end up biting them in the ass. Is they signed Bryce up from the Jets. 10 sack year, right? It had a 10 sack year, and they didn't want to pay Hassan over $25 million, right? Which is why Hassan Reddick is no longer an Eagle, right? And we also
Jets don't even want to pay him either,
right? And he's not showing up to training camp. I heard, right?
Exactly. He's getting fined each day because of it,
right? So. And we did lose two important Hall of Fame players, right? We lost Fletcher Cox, and then we lost Jason Kelsey. We lost the guy that knows how to stop the run. Yes.
You also lost the greatest receiver ever, Julio Jones, played for the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
What a legend.
He got 3 touchdowns. I mean,
hell yeah.
And you know what? We lost a legend in Rashad Penny, who was supposed to be Dude, Pete, we made freaking T-shirts for that, man, and it failed.
I know. That's why I'm never making no t-shirts about Eagles players, man.
He
So
retired too, right? He ended up retiring.
he retired.
Yeah. He saw the Panthers and like, oh shit, I don't want to play anymore, man. I'm done. It literally what happened.
Yeah. So where was I? Oh yeah. So we lost Fletcher Cox. You know, one of the best players. I think Fletcher Cox is a Hall of Famer. Like, you know, not just Eagles Hall of Fame. I think he might not be first ballot. He might be second, third ballot. But
later on,
that dude was one of the best players for a long stretch of time when it came to defensive tackle. It was him and Aaron Donald for a long time. So and he could actually play the run, unlike Aaron Donald, right? So, you know, he could take out two blockers, like, you know, all the time. And he was a $20 million player for a long time. So, I mean, last year he did pretty good. And then Jason Kelsey, like that's such a huge loss because Jason actually gets the line ready before each play, right? Now Jalen's got to figure that out with the new center, right? The center that we drafted a couple years ago. What's his name? Ruckshot?
The center for the Eagles, like Nick Gates, did we just recently sign him?
No. The starting center. Cam Jurgens.
Oh, Cam Jurgens, yeah.
Yeah.
We actually have some.
But Jurgens, I thought Jurgens. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, we actually have breaking the Makadar news. Although this was happened around like noon, we forgot to mention about this. But former this is according to Adam Schefter and other NFL sources. But former All-Pro kick returner and ex-running back Tariq Cohen, he's informed the New York Jets that he will be retiring from football. This came only 2 days after Cohen spoke enthusiastically about his comeback bid. But he suffered like a bunch of injuries. He was a first team All-Pro and Pro Bowl selection for the Bears in 2018. He led the NFL in punt return yardage and amassed a career high 1,169 yards from scrimmage. 5'6" speedster. He suffered a devastating knee injury in 2020. Then he had a torn Achilles in 2022. But yeah, I mean, he tried to make a comeback, but unfortunately it didn't go through. And the Bears picked him up in the 4th round in 2017 out of North Carolina A&T. Finishes his career with 2,676 yards from scrimmage, 14 touchdowns, along with 985 yards on punt returns, 1 touchdown, and 628 yards on kickoff returns. Entire career with the Bears last season in the Panthers practice squad. So just want to hit out the breaking news. Sorry for the interruption, but we got to break that news.
All good. So the next guy we signed, we had him in 22. He was actually, I think he had 6 interceptions, was CJ Gardner-Johnson. And I kind of wish we had him last year against the 49ers because they're not going to come talk shit to Bradbury like that. Like, you know, we need some of those shit talking players, right? Like that kind of shit. Like when I see, like, I hate the 49ers more than the Cowboys. I hate the 49ers, right? Like, because I live in 49er country. I know all these motherfuckers are. So, like, I just can't stand them. And it's like the way they beat us, it's like, you know, it's just like, I would rather get beat to any other team than that team.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish we had CJ Gardner, but, you know, ended up working out. He's back. I think it's a three-year deal, $33 million or something like that.
Correct. You're spot on.
So, you know, let's see where that goes. He also can train the new safeties. You know, definitely can be inspiration to guys like Sidney Brown, Reed Blankenship, and then actually show them how the game is really played on a pro standpoint, right? So we signed Devontae Parker, but that boy retired. So he said, I'm done with football.
everyone gone, man.
So the other signings, the notable ones are like Paris Campbell. You know, I think he's probably going to be the 3rd receiver for the Eagles. He's got a little speed. He's probably going to be in the slot. We did sign Tyler Hall from the Raiders, another backup nickel spot for him. Then Oren Burks from the 49ers, a linebacker that can play special teams. He's really a special teamer than actual, you know, starting linebacker. I mean, if he has to start, then, you know, your season's going down the drain, right? So, and then we signed Devin White for, I think, $7.5 million, 1-year deal.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And And Devin White is usually a good. I think he's better at pass coverage
in terms of like blitzing
Yeah.
and
yeah.
Blitzing and pass coverage.
I think but like the problem is he was released from Tampa Bay because he couldn't cover that well from sideline to sideline. Like he lost a little bit of his speed. Same as like Devin Bush. The same. I think they weren't they both drafted in the same draft class?
In the 2019-2020 draft class. I think that was it.
I think they were back to back too, right? Very close to each other.
I would think so. Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So we got Will Greer from, I don't know where he came from, but he is a disciple of Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
So he's basically helping these guys teach the offense, right? So Will Greer down the line be a coach somewhere, like just like
Dougie
just
P.
a bunch of backup quarterbacks now. One of them coaching the Giants right now, right?
Josh McCown too.
He's a Vikings QB coach.
Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah.
So Josh McCown could be a good head coach one day.
Mm-hmm.
He could be a really good head coach one day. Like I think when I see Josh McCown, I see a lot of Doug in him. So not to mention Josh McCown used to be a receiver back in the day for a little bit. He got wheels. You can catch.
You guys had John Ross, then he retired too.
No, I think he's
still there. He's still there. So I'm gonna get to it.
Yeah.
So we signed John Ross. We signed CJ Uzoma. We got Avante back. And then I think we extended Reed Blankenship as well. We had reinstated Isaiah Rodgers. That's going pretty good for us. He's been killing it in camp, and he's definitely got the wheels, and he's got returnability, with a kick return, punt return. He is really good at that particular thing too. And then AJ Brown's extension till 2020 season. So that was
AJ and Devontae Smith's extensions.
Both of them got extended.
That's how you take care of receivers. That's how you take care of your star players. You pay them, man. You pay them.
I think if you give somebody like long enough time, and if they are a lifelong learner and they want to learn from their mistakes, that's kind of what Howie Roseman is. I mean, he's done a lot of fuck ups, right? But he's learned from all of that, and he's trying to get better, right? Like the reason why we even have an AJ Brown is because he missed on Amari Cooper in 2018. Right, like he offered the Raiders a second, and the Raiders said fuck off, and the Cowboys offered a first, and they got him. Right, like because if we have Amari Cooper in 2018, we'll probably win the Super Bowl again.
Yeah,
right. Like so, things like that. You learn from your past, right? So, with that said, I think they went into the draft, and expected this player to be there. This is there's connection to Nick Sirianni and Quinyon Mitchell because Nick Sirianni is friends with the head coach and used to be his roommate. Yep. And so Nick Sirianni gave him the good word, and then obviously they watch tape and whatnot. Quinyon's got speed, so and he was available, so they picked up Quinyon Mitchell, and then the second day, they picked up Cooper DeJean. So Cooper,
man,
it's somebody. I know the Packers wanted him, but y'all got a linebacker that's also really
true.
good.
That's true. Great consolation prize for us. I'll say that.
Prize, yeah. But I think Cooper DeJean is more like the owner's pick. So let's see how this last time an owner made a pick, it wasn't good. Like it was JJ Arcega-Whiteside. So let's see what pans out, right? So I'm still crossing my fingers on this one. And after that, you got Jalik Hunt. I think Vic Fangio is high on this guy. I see a little bit of if you go back like 2011, 2012, Aldon Smith from the 49ers. He's got a little bit to that game. Aldon Smith light, right? Like he's
a pass rusher
to that game. He's got to work on his get off a little bit and like his stance. I think if he works on that, he's got enough athletic ability to get to the passer, and he's been doing some stuff in camp, so that's kind of encouraging. But you won't see a whole lot of him this year. Maybe down the line next year, year after that, because usually this takes a little long to develop, right? So, and then we got Will Shipley from the Clemson Tigers is another pass catching running back, scat back. You need those guys, right? So he's gonna probably eventually help out, especially if you're like short on receiver. You can use guys like that. He also got some.
But don't you guys already have Kenneth Gainwell?
We
Kenny
do.
Gainwell.
That's
Aren't they similar?
Last year, I think.
That's the issue, I think, because didn't mean sorry to interrupt, Pete, but like I think like the Eagle, I think it's something with like Howie or Nick Sirianni, like they're in love with Kenny G, and the thing is like he's been rarely used properly. That is a phrase that is true by Kenny G. Like, I mean, he could do some things, but I mean, he's mid at the moment.
I think they should use him a lot more pass routes, and maybe Kellen puts up a package for him.
Yeah, and
he'll be great at the slot also. Like he's a good pass catching running back. So I mean, Will Shipley is just insurance, I think, for years to come.
Pretty much.
Right?
But I do have an update that I did get, and I want to give a special shout out to the Swoop Boys of another Eagles podcast that I'm also collaborating with, and also give a special shout out to the guys that have inspired me, Fourth and John, and of course the Pete Nathan of the Pete Nathan Show. But one thing, like I did hear some rumors, like especially during like the practice training camp, there's been a lot of one thing that we've been praying to God for. You want to know what that is, Anand? Free snap motion. It's epic back. Yes. We were dead last. It was
of course we're thankful that we're going to somewhat of an NFL offense from what we had last year from basic like high school offense, right? So so there should be go ahead, bro.
I do want to say you guys picking up Kellen Moore was a huge deal. I know he was a scapegoat for the Cowboys 2 years ago. Mike McCarthy threw him under the bus and said it was his fault. And I think you mentioned this. He went to the Chargers, didn't do as well, but injuries played a massive factor for the Chargers. So I don't think he got his fair shot. And when you bring in a brand new coaching staff, you're bound to lose your job. But picking up Kellen Moore provides you, and you just said this, provides you a more NFL offense than a high schooler's offense.
Yeah.
And he will. My only fear is Jalen Hurts cannot throw the deep ball like as well. We all know the meme of him throwing that deep ball in the Super Bowl at the end. So he's got his moments. So, and I think you said Kellen Moore is I forgot the word that you used. He's a all out, throw it deep, guns blazing, pocket passer kind of air raid. That's the right word. Sorry.
Yeah.
Air raid would be more towards like the Mike Leach.
Well, air raid is more Cliff Kingsbury. Let's be real.
Yeah, basically
that's air raid.
F it and throw it someone out.
But you need a quarterbacks coach who can develop you to get in the dink and dunks, right? That's how Tom Brady won all those Super Bowls. Yeah. Right. There's nothing wrong with the dink and dunks. If it's going first down, it's fucking first down. Who cares? Right. So I think Kellen can help Jalen see them field a little bit better. Because Jalen, I think when I see tape, Jalen is not seeing half of the field. Right. Jalen is one lead quarterback still.
Tunnel vision to AJ Brown only. Tunnel vision to AJ Brown.
Right. Yeah. And to I think it helped Jalen to like get to the next step a little bit. But it also kind of hurt Jalen because now you're relying on AJ and Devontae, right? And if AJ goes out for a game, you don't look as good because you forget you got Dallas Goedert, you got running backs. You should be able to use that in the offense, right? And that I think sometimes when quarterbacks do not have the best receiver, you become a better quarterback because you learn how to read, you learn how to like use your brain, you learn how to just you. Not that Jalen's not using his brain. I'm sure he is. But like you learn how to get creative, right? And that's kind of what happened to Brady. And of course, Bill Belichick being the mastermind, giving him the decent defensive plans of the opposing teams, they kind of cheated and whatnot. But like but still Bill telling them about like how that defensive team is, and that they would have meetings about that, right? And how willingness for how Brady was learning all of that when he was a young quarterback, right? I think that matters. I think that takes time to learn, right? So like us expecting Jalen to be as good as he was the Super Bowl year is kind of unrealistic. Like it will take at least a couple years. I think
the problem is
I
Patrick
think I
Mahomes.
want Kellen here, like
The problem is Patrick Mahomes and all of this, man. The problem is you see someone young like that just has a natural talent to be like a combination of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, and you win 3 Super Bowls out of 5 years. Like it kind of puts pressure on other players. I mean, Josh Allen, top 2 quarterback. Joe Burrow, top 5. Yeah. Jalen Hurts can be top. Like it just sucks because you got to live up to a standard, and unfortunately, Patrick Mahomes is standard. And I agree with you. I mean,
Patrick Mahomes has one of the greatest teachers, Andy Reid.
He does.
I mean, that guy has been through a lot.
100%. He knows everything. He knows how to game plan. But I think you're right. Jalen Hurts hasn't truly struggled. If I'm correct, and I might be wrong, but I think it was post his rookie. He started midway through his rookie year, right? Because Carson Wentz went down.
I think he was benched towards the end. He was benched in that Packers game. Thankfully, he was benched against the Packers. Thank you for that, Anand, by the way. And then Jalen Hurts came and took over, played like almost like had a few games behind his belt, and of course, the infamous tank job in 2020, the COVID year.
Yeah, so that was, but like, I don't truly. I mean, he did take a step up once AJ Brown showed up. It's like how Josh Allen took the next step when Stephon Diggs showed up. I mean, we can name countless of receivers that have done that for quarterbacks, but I don't know. I think consistency is the problem with the Philadelphia Eagles is
right.
And I think Pete, you said it right. As a fan, you want to build consistency, and yes, you got to hope that you lose a couple of games so Kellen Moore can stay back so that. Or else you win the Super Bowl, Kellen Moore's gone. Like I can guarantee you that tomorrow that Kellen Moore's gone.
Look at the NFC Championship, Kellen Moore's gone.
Kellen Moore's
That's
gone.
fair. Yeah.
Unless you fire Nick Sirianni, and they don't want to do that because they need a puppet to say yes to everything they say. So just the way the organizations are run, man. Like most of these organizations are kind of becoming this now. Like so
So no shot in getting Bill Belichick next year.
You know what? They actually tried. I think they wanted to get him, but I think they just wanted to give Nick one more year because you can't like justifiably fire a coach after getting to a playoffs and going to the Super Bowl the year before, right? You just feel bad, like you know what I mean? Because what if the next coach you hire, you just don't win games and then like, you have disastrous seasons, right? So it's like a PR move, if you will, right? So that's kind of why they kept Nick around, and then they told Nick to stay the fuck out of the offense. So, which is Kellen is completely managing the offense, which is good for Jalen, right? And I'll take you through the rest of the picks. Basically, we got Aeneas Smith, Jeremiah Trotter.
The prodigal son comes back home.
Chuck is excited about him.
I'm so happy with Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Aeneas Smith is kind of like a poor man's version of
Darren Sproles
Samuel. Right, like he could be that Darren Sproles mold. Although he hasn't really shown any promise so far, we'll see where that goes. And then we did draft Trevor Keegan, Johnny Wilson, and Dylan McMahon. So Dylan McMahon is a center guard. He's kind of similar to a Jason Kelsey mold because of the body type. But we'll see where that goes. But the Johnny Wilson is I want to say. Johnny Wilson is very similar to how Darren Waller was when he was with the Ravens. They were kind of like the body type wise, at least. And I think Johnny Wilson has to work on his pass catching ability, being 6'6", 230-ish pounds. But I think they should really consider moving him to tight end. I think it's more advantageous if you move him to tight end. Probably it's better do it the first year. If they can do it the next year, right? But like it's probably better if you do it early, that you can learn the playbook and become better. And like it's a lot easier on the inside for a bigger guy. So I think that's where they should go. And then we got a guy named Trevor Keegan. I think he has a good chance to start in the future. He's a he's one of those underrated guards. He didn't give up a sack in Michigan, so he was.
Yes, that's been like my tagline that I've said like every time like I'm a Super Boys. Oh, by the way, did you know Trevor Keegan has allowed 0 sacks in his entire career in Michigan? So I mean, I definitely and getting back and adding on to Pete's thing, I definitely like him. He does bring that versatility. And I think with one of the signings that the Eagles got in Mekhi Becton is most likely going to be on the chopping block. And an unfortunate time in which we have to use the B word again, bust. And I mean,
I wouldn't go that fast.
I think it's more like his injuries just got
his injuries got him.
Make him a bust. That's I mean, if he was playing in a healthy thing, I would need to see more of that. But because of the injuries, it's unfortunate that some people are giving him the bust category on that.
Well, is he injured now?
He's not injured right now. All I know is that Landon Dickerson.
I give him a chance to make the team.
Landon Dickerson is currently, not practicing. He suffered some kind of like injury,
right?
That.
Which is why he played tackle and he knows how to play right guard. So that's versatility right there. So and Lane might be stepping away from the game in a couple of years. So if you want to keep Mekhi around, might be smart to keep him around at guard or somewhere and then keep developing because you're under Jeff Stoutland. If you put Mekhi Becton with Jeff Stoutland, and if you can get him healthy, this guy developed Jordan Mailata, who didn't put a helmet on until 2020.
Yeah,
right? Like
Mekhi Becton has all the traits.
Like he didn't start a game till 2020, like into the end of the season. So, Mekhi Becton was already talented when he came out.
You gotta take being drafted by the Jets with a grain of salt. Because you did. Yes, he had been injured. He like destroyed his kneecap in 2022, but I believe he played pretty well in 2023. Obviously didn't have what's his name, Aaron Rodgers playing, but he seemed like he played pretty decent. But again, he played for the Jets, man. I mean, he can't really judge.
He played great against us, man. Derek Barnett couldn't touch the quarterback.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
remember that rush shot?
My God, that was an embarrassment.
Oh my God, that was
Derek effing Barnett. The only good thing that's come out of Derek Barnett's career was recovering that strip sack from Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. And speaking of Brandon Graham, this is actually going to be his final year. So after this one, he's retired, but definitely Hall of Fame worthy for me because he made that one play.
Right. So yeah, we signed BG. So, and then there's a bunch of practice squad guys. I'm not going to bore y'all with them, but yeah, let's look at the season. How it might pan out. I think we got Green Bay first game.
Yep,
that's gonna be fun.
That's
in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
In Brazil,
a game away this year because usually it's 9 games at home and 8 games away, right? So this time we get 9 games away, even though that's considered a home game.
Yeah, it should be considered away. I mean, I don't know how they consider that a home game.
I would call it a neutral game. Like make it it's like an 8-8-1. That's how I see it. 8 home, 8 away. And
the neutral game.
Well, I think it's difficult to separate it because not all teams play out of the country, right? So
exactly.
You've got to.
That's true.
Basically, giving up a game at home.
Yeah.
But so I think they start off with the loss against the Packers.
Okay.
And then I think they go to Atlanta. They get a win in Atlanta. No, it's actually in Philly. So that's Kirk Cousins playing on a Monday night. So you already know that's a win.
That's a win.
You know what I mean?
There's like 3 things in life, man: death, taxes, and Kirk Cousins failing on a
Monday night game.
Primetime game.
Like Sunday, like I'll be scared. Like I'll be like,
but it's
Monday afternoon, 12 p.m. game.
Sunday 1 p.m. You're screwed, brother. You're losing that game.
We're screwed. Like and then go to New Orleans. Derek Carr should be enough to figure him out and get a win there. So I think that's another W. And then go to Tampa Bay. That'll be a revenge game because, we didn't like the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made us look at the playoffs. I think they'll win that one. And then you got a very early bye. Yeah. And this is what's going to screw with them, right? I think coming off of that, you got the Browns. That could be a game that you probably lose.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson's playing, that defense is really good. Jim Schwartz already knows how to play the offensive line. You know, Jim Schwartz used to be our defensive coordinator, right? So that could be an issue. And then New York Giants, I think we win that one. Against Cincinnati, could be another loss.
Yeah.
Against Jacksonville, this game could go either way. Like, you know, this I'm sure Doug want to beat us. So this game could go either way.
Is it in Philly?
Yeah, Jacksonville's going to be playing in Philly.
No, they have a good chance to win it, but like, you know, if something happens, they can lose it too, right? So, and then we got Dallas. That's in Dallas.
Never win in Dallas.
I got us winning in Dallas.
What?
So, like,
Okay.
So we're gonna beat the Cowboys because I think I'm just betting the Cowboys are not going to be as good. So I mean, if they're good, probably lose that game. But if not, I think we win that one. And then we go
Cowboys winning that game.
We're gonna win that. Watch.
So, no. Pete, there's something that you have to know. I don't know how long it's been, but we have never beaten the Cowboys at AT&T.
And since 27.
We basically split 1-1. That's how it's been.
But we're gonna win this year. So moving on to the next game.
Bro, come on, man. I don't know how I feel about this.
What do you mean?
I have a bad feeling about these types of games, especially in an NFC East, because Dallas always plays toughs against us. They literally kick the Eagles' ass in AT&T Stadium. We haven't even won in that stadium since 2017. That streak is probably going to go on.
So I'll give you some advice.
I will bank on what Pete says. The Cowboys tend to start a bit slow or a little bit sloppy. You might be able to sneak a win out. Also depends on at what moment. We're talking hypothetical, right? We're saying if injuries are turned off and everyone is healthy, but you don't know what's going to happen.
This is all hypothetical, right?
Okay. It's all hypothetical.
Right? I'm like, what the hell are you saying? Oh, that's.
But I think we win in Dallas, right? So and then we go Washington. Jaden Daniels. This will be a tough game, primetime game. I think it's Thursday night. I think.
It's a Thursday night game.
Could be a win or loss, but it could go either way, right? And then we go to Los Angeles against Matt Stafford. I think we win against the Rams. I think that's a win. Every time we went to LA, we won. So far,
that's Thanksgiving, right? That's Thanksgiving Day.
That's a Week 12 game. So Sunday.
That's that Sunday, I think. The Thanksgiving Sunday, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah. And then we go to Baltimore. That's a loss.
We're losing that game.
Lamar Jackson, I think he has one loss against an NFC team. Other than that, Lamar Jackson has beaten every NFC team. Basically.
Holy.
Yeah.
That is 19-1 or some crazy record like the last 2 years.
I feel like that's more of just the Ravens defense just manhandling any NFC offense, because the AFC just goes through a gauntlet every single year, especially that AFC North. Right, that defense is used to brawling in the mud, and then they face these type of
pass happy teams and all
exactly.
That. Go ahead.
Let's not forget that one loss was a miracle win last year that the Giants pulled off.
Oh my
10-9 versus
God!
Lamar Jackson. That was Lamar Jackson's infamous fumble when he was trying to get to the game-winning drive, and he fumbled it.
Right.
If Lamar got to, if they're gonna beat the Chiefs, they win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a fun.
Yeah, because the Ravens destroyed the 49ers in San Francisco. That was right. The Ravens would have won. Yeah,
they would have smoked the 40. They would never go to overtime. He would have won before that.
Yeah,
right? Absolutely.
And then Carolina Panthers, I think we can win that game. That should be an easy win. Pittsburgh Steelers could go either way. If Russ is starting, we've never beaten Russ in a game, so that could be a loss. And then coming back to the Commanders in Washington, I think we win that game
easily.
Coming back to Dallas, we win that game again, right? We sweep.
So you're telling me you're going to sweep the NFC East this year?
No, probably.
Okay.
And then New York, I think we win that game too. So,
so 13-4.
Based on how that season ends, on what you said. If you guys beat the Cowboys in Week 17, you probably are going to lose Week 18 because you're going to bench everyone.
Yeah.
You probably already won the division.
Okay, let's give us the loss there, right? So let's lose that game. So lost to Green Bay, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore,
Ravens, yeah.
Pittsburgh, and then Giants. So it'll be like same result. 11-6, 10-7 type of season. So win enough games to get in the playoffs. Get in the playoffs, you maybe win a game, or you bounce out of the playoffs, right? Kellen keeps his job, come back another year, live to see another year, basically with that same offense. So this could go worse. I mean, we could lose to the Cowboys in Dallas, like Ruckshak said. Let's add that too. Then it'll be 10-7.
Yep.
If you add that 10-7, like let's say if you lose to Jacksonville, it'll be 9-8, right?
Well, let's also remember the NFC East hasn't had a repeat, so you probably are going to win the division with 10-7.
You might.
You might.
I mean,
you might.
That's a wild card where Washington wins the division, right? Like
I honestly wouldn't be shocked if Washington pulled it off and won the division. I wouldn't be shocked.
Just on the back of a really good defense.
I got a jersey bet right here. I got one.
Oh, no, not another one.
Yes. What was the first one that we did?
I'll remember it, but first you continue.
You know what? I'm gonna say this: if the Commanders or the Giants win the NFC East and they make it past the first round, I will buy that quarterback's jersey and I will wear it. I'll take a picture of it on Instagram for a week, and I love this.
No. You will wear it for the next season.
To a Phillies game. You have to go. You have to go to Philadelphia for that team and root for that team with that jersey.
Yeah.
Oh my
god! you better secure somebody else to go with you.
You will wear it next season. Now that's a bet.
So,
don't go solo though.
Yeah, don't go solo.
Somebody else.
Don't go solo. You need to take someone to watch you, brother.
Oh my god, Pete, you're coming with me, man.
Yeah, I got to take a plane from California, man. Like,
I'll Venmo you, so you better get your ass over here, man.
I mean, in Philly, you'll be okay because we know enough people there.
You could just talk to Fourth and John and say, "Hey, I'm doing
this."
Yeah.
Gail Saunders, Prime, and especially like Hollis Thomas, they'll come for my ass, man.
No, you could just explain it.
Pause.
Right, yeah, explain it. They'd be cool. They're cool people.
I had a
question. Who's your
for
standout
you.
player?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, Pete, who's your standout player for this season?
Standout player for this season, I think it will be Jalen Hurts. Like he would improve as a passer. I think you might see him get better towards the end of the season. I think they're gonna win with his legs and his arms at first. You're gonna see a lot of Barkley. Especially like the first 8 weeks or so. And then after that, you're going to see more Hurts than Barkley. And that's kind of where the offense is going to channel. You'll see more of the Dallas Goedert passes, in the red zone. I think that's where they need to go, right? Yeah. If they want this thing to last more than this year, right? The goal shouldn't be not this year. The goal should be, okay, how are we going to keep this up for the next 4 or 5 years, right? So, and how is Jalen going to develop? And the only guy I see in the NFL right now who has that type of mentality, like a Tom Brady, is, even though he doesn't have that fast brain like a Peyton Manning, is Jalen Hurts. Like he has the mentality and the work ethic. He just got to put that to work, and it's going to take time for him to build that.
Okay.
And Jalen Hurts is a winner. Wherever he's gone, he's won. The guy knows how to win. So I have full faith in Jalen Hurts. It's a matter of learning this offense and getting it to that point, right? And then you can be a winner. Then you got a job to do called the quarterback position, right? You got to throw. You got to know how to set your feet,
water the plant,
work on the feet. His feet movement, especially inside the pocket. Not get too frantic, right?
Don't run to the right.
The right feet movement will bring the better deep pass, right?
Yep.
Like you said, the deep pass is kind of hard for Jalen. I've seen that too. But like that deep pass will come when your feet movement's there, right? Because like it all depends on
better throwing mechanics.
Better throwing mechanics. I mean, Dak does the whole dance, right? You already know, like before the game, right?
Hip dance. I mean, that took off when he did that.
Widen you, like loosen your hips, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's something to that. So it all depends on how long we have Kellen, and if Kellen is even the right guy. I hope he is, and I hope Kellen can come down to Jalen's level of like teaching him to where he should go with the football. Because in college they tell you where to throw the football. In the NFL, you got to know where to throw the football, right? Even though the play is this, when it breaks down, like defenses get paid too. Those guys are smart. There's defensive coordinators that are smart, right? So you got to know how to read that defense, right? So that takes time. So I think it'll take some time. I think they'll struggle with stopping the run because they don't have a Fletcher Cox. They don't have any solid players, and Vic Fangio likes to play over 70 snaps for each defensive player. That's what he did with Christian Wilkins last year in Miami Dolphins. So they're gonna conditionally they're gonna struggle a little bit. I mean, they did hire Clint Hurt from the Seahawks. Like, he used to be the defensive coordinator. He's getting Jordan Davis into a little bit of a shape. But let's see how long Jordan Davis can actually do that, and Jalen Carter can actually take the next step and replace a guy like a Fletcher Cox. And then you don't, like, your only good pass rusher there is like Josh Sweat, right? The other guys, everybody's kind of an if. We don't know yet. Yeah, you had a question?
No. Before I think Anand had a question, but I just wanted to say I have a hard stop, so I gotta head out.
Yeah.
It was fun talking to you guys.
Thank you so much, Abhishek.
Yeah, Pete, you guys are not winning in Dallas. Don't say what you want. We're not winning.
I'm trying to tell the truth.
I'm gonna have you on my podcast right before we play Dallas. So
okay, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Down why
yeah, we'll talk. At that point, we'll see how because that's what, week 6 or week 7.
At that point, we'll have a good idea.
By the time we will know what the offenses and defenses look like. Yeah.
Right.
Also, you didn't mention, but the Cleveland Browns game you guys can lose because that, I believe, is when Nick Chubb is projected to come back.
Yeah.
So you guys might have trouble stopping him. So, but thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming again.
Thanks, man.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.
See ya. All right. So I just had one more question, Pete. What do you think about Vic Fangio's entrance now? Is he going to bring the defense back to near 2022 levels?
Yes. So this is how everybody's thinking, because he's a 3-4 defensive coach. It's gonna look completely different, right? What people don't realize is the 3-4s and the 4-3s no longer look like that anymore.
Yeah.
The 4-3s kind of look like a 4-2 with a nickel, shadowing somewhere, like, it looks different, right? And the same thing with the 3-4. It might be a 5-man front. Guys are like backpedaling,
right?
Or all 5 go, and you might not have 4 linebackers, right? So it's replaced with different things. So I think Vic Fangio is gonna do a better job than what it was last, because this is actually his defense. Because we had last year, what's his name?
Sean Desai.
And then Vic Fangio. Clint Hurt was another disciple of Vic Fangio. And they kind of ran a Vic Fangio offense. Now you got the actual guy doing it, and he was there with the Eagles as an assistant, not assistant, as an advisor,
right? Yeah,
2022, having Jonathan Gannon run this
during that Super Bowl run, right?
Correct. So if Vic has the right personnel, I think he can get it done. I don't think he has all the right personnel.
Yeah, that was going to be in my next question, right?
He doesn't have the right linebackers. They're going to have to do something to stop. They're going to have a hard time stopping the run. I think that they will have a very hard time stopping the run. Cornerbacks wise, they're okay. They got Slay, either Quinyon Mitchell, Keely Ringo, one of those guys are going to start.
Isaiah Rodgers. That's
Right,
right.
Isaiah Rodgers.
Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean could be in the slot. Like
Cooper DeJean.
Out of
Okay.
Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that Cooper DeJean also got banged up in a soft tissue hamstring injury. So it's not looking good. I don't like
what, like 3 to 4 weeks, right?
4 weeks.
Yeah. 3 to 4 weeks. But then again, with that, there's one free agent that everyone's like clamoring to get. Justin Simmons, the safety from the safety is still
that is true.
He's
still available.
I think it's the wrong player we need to get. The right player we need to trade for is Jeffrey Simmons, because you need a damn defensive tackle who knows how to stop the run. So because Justin Simmons is good, but I think we can survive at safety, right? Like we can survive at safety and corner. We got enough talent to get that part done. I think they're really going to struggle in the run.
Because if you could just run up the middle, then you wouldn't need to
basically
allow any sort of impressive
so
run.
Easy to kill a team if you can run.
Yeah.
That's why you got to stop the run. Stopping the run is number one. So I think that's why they're going to struggle a little bit. I think also Vic plays like if you look at the percentage of how much he has played guys in the past, he's played them for like 80% of the time, and that's a lot because the Eagles are used to playing them as rotation players. So we like to keep them fresh. That's not going to be there as much this year. So those are the things people are not taking into factor. People will understand as soon as the game start. But I think overall, Vic Fangio will help develop this defense to become better. And kind of like how Jim Schwartz was like in 2016, eventually it will be becoming a better defense, right? They got good teachers. Especially if you look at the defensive line, Clint Hurt is a good teacher. And then they got Jeremiah Washburn, who's Jim Washburn's son. Jim Washburn is the guy who invented the wide 9 defense, right?
Okay.
So you got him. You got Christian Parker, who's like the safeties and cornerbacks coach. He's done some good things with Patrick Surtain. So there's promise, right? And then on the offensive side, you got Doug Nussmeier, I think, who's the quarterbacks coach, who was with
Kellen Moore.
Right, and Kellen Moore. So and he used to be, I think he used to be an ex-quarterback. And I really like ex-quarterbacks training quarterbacks because they've seen the game, they know how to play the game.
Right.
I think for those reasons, this team will get better. It's just not what people are expecting is like NFC Championship, Super Bowl. I don't think they'll get better that fast.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. I think 2025, I predict the Eagles to go to at least the NFC Championship, get to the Super Bowl, I think, and then Howie will make a couple of moves and boom, you're there, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with the Eagles.
Okay. Well, I mean, fantastic analysis as always. Thank you, Pete, for that. So I guess we're gonna finish off with our last section, which is the final division predictions. Basically telling the records as stated by us. It's going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth from us.
So help you God.
Exactly. And whatever we say is exactly 100% accurate. We read into crystal balls. We are the oracles.
We are the script writers.
Exactly. We are the script writers. So it's going to be 100% accurate. So I guess, Pete, you can go ahead. Tell us how you think each team's going to do in terms of win-loss, and then who's going to be the division winner and how far they will go in the playoffs.
Okay. So I think let's start off with the least teams, right? Like New York Giants.
Yeah.
They have a chance to beat the Detroit Lions and go 0-17.
Oh, I see what you did there. Right?
Whoa,
Yeah.
that was good.
I think the New York Giants, they're not too far.
Yeah.
There, right? I mean, if anything, they'll win one or two games. But I think they go 0-17. That's my bold prediction. for them.
Dang.
Not
Okay.
gonna lie, you had us
All
at the
right.
first
You
half.
had us at
Yeah.
the first half right there.
So, and then I think the Cowboys, if depending on how the season goes and who they sign back, I think the Cowboys would probably finish like 10-7. And then the Eagles will be around 10-7 or 11-6 ish. And then the Commanders, I think the Commanders will finish, like you said, like 7-10. So so it'll come down to the Cowboys and the Eagles. Both teams can suck, and then Washington could end up winning the division. This happened before in the past. So with Jaden Daniels, it depends. If Jaden Daniels is a CJ Stroud type of player, hey man, we're all in trouble. So
that's true. That's true.
And they got a good defense. Dan Quinn's got a good defense. He's got good defensive tackles, linebackers, so we'll see how it goes. Yep.
Okay. Blackjack.
Well, yeah. First of all, I want to give a special shout out to Pete Nathan, man. Thank you so much for always joining in and to talk about the only thing that matters in your podcast, that is Eagles football. So I got a different take. I got the Eagles going 12-5 at most, because I think like some of the games that could be losses against the Packers, we just saw Jordan Love get signed to a big contract. Any game can happen, and again, losses could be to the Packers. That's an asterisk. Then Browns, Bengals, Ravens, and of course we split with Dallas, because I think like Joe Burrow's so much of a better quarterback. Lamar Jackson's just phenomenal. And the defense of Cleveland is just goddamn scary. And with Nick Chubb coming back that time, God help us all. But then I think like the one thing, but if the Eagles are able to beat the Packers, then they go 13-4. And of course they win the NFC East. And I'm gonna take it further. They get the NFC Championship game. Okay. I think they can pull it off. Okay. I think if they're able to gel this type of offense and we see a great output, but maximum, I'm saying 12-5, because I'm giving one of the losses to the Packers, because the Packers, you cannot effing underestimate them. No. They will find a way to come and play and win. And if you want an example, look at what happened to the effing Cowboys in the first wild card game. Second, speaking of the Cowboys, they go 10-7. They'll manage some wins, but then again, but remember the old mantra: what can go wrong will go wrong. They are an accident waiting to happen. Some stupid shit will happen, and we see them falling. Commanders, they go 5-12. Jaden Daniels is a great QB, but here's the thing: that offense by Cliff Kingsbury, he better make some changes to it, because I highly doubt he will replicate a CJ Stroud, because he's just got those pieces, and we need to see that production consistently, because to go up against the likes of Joe Burrow, a Cleveland Browns defense, a Ravens defense, maybe the Bears. I think Caleb Williams could be the better quarterback than Jaden Daniels. The Giants could split one, because knowing how shit happens between the Giants and the Commanders. Steelers, because we know about the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl anyway. That's a urinating tree reference. They always split with the the Cowboys are going to clean sweep them. And I think like the Eagles, and I think like yeah, and then of course, last but not least, the Giants. They go 4-13. And it's just dismal, or dog shit, as quoted by Abhishek. So with that, the Eagles, they go 12-5, 13-4 at best. They make it to the NFC Championship game. Beat the Dole moment right there.
Okay. Yeah. So I will say one thing. I think the Eagles are going to beat the Packers in week 1. And the only reason why is because the Packers under Matt LaFleur's tenure are not good at starting. They're not good at starting hot after long breaks. So whether it's the first game of the season or it's after the bye week, we're not that great at getting a victory there. So I think it's going to be close, but I think the Eagles pull off the victory there, and they go ahead and win 11 games. So I'm predicting 11-6 record. Cowboys 10-7 again. I just don't see them winning like 12 games or more than that. I just they have had way too many losses on the defense for it to matter. I think the offense they will find a way because Dak is still going to be there under contract. CD's going to be there under contract, right? They're going to have Zeke. He's going to be
somewhat of a factor.
Yeah, somewhat of a factor.
Zeke will somehow have a game against the Eagles.
Right.
There's one way that's going to happen.
And their offensive line and Jake Ferguson is always there. So I'm not worried that much about their offense for next year. I'm significantly worried about their defense because they have a completely new coordinator, coaching staff. Well, almost coaching staff. I think they did make some coaching changes there. A lot of personnel went out, like key personnel on the D line were let go by the Cowboys. So I don't think they win more than 10 games. So 9-8, 10-7. Commanders 7-10, and the Giants, man, maybe 2 games. I don't see Daniel Jones being a starter. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Daniel Jones being a starter. He struggles. I don't think he can get back to that 2022 season. I feel like it's almost like Carson Wentz, who was great in 2016 or not 2016. Yeah, 2016. Right? Yeah.
Hold up now. Carson Wentz is a good quarterback.
No. I'm just going to say, right? In terms of the fall off that Carson Wentz had post injury, right? He was never able to get back to his pre-injury levels. So I think that's what's going to happen to Daniel Jones. We already see that in training camp, right? He won't be able to match his pre-injury levels. That's what I mean by that comparison.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not saying he's Carson Wentz or he was Carson Wentz, right? He's not. But I just don't think he's going to be able to make the contract worth. And they're probably going to get rid of him at the end of this year. Probably get rid of Brian Daboll, Joe Shane for sure, because he's the architect of this disaster that they've had since who did they have before again? They had Dave Gettleman.
Gettleman.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
He's the one who drafted Barkley.
Yeah. Over quarterback.
Right.
Yeah. Over Josh Allen, I think.
Yeah, over Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Alrighty. So yeah, I think the Eagles win. They obviously host a divisional round because they would win the division. But I don't think they make it past there because there are teams that I have a lot more hope for amongst the other NFC teams that would significantly beat the Eagles. And that is, well, you already have 49ers. They're going to be the first seed, right?
Yeah.
Lions can beat the Eagles. Packers can beat the Eagles, especially at the end of the season. Rams can beat the Eagles. Seahawks could potentially beat the Eagles. So that's 4 teams right there that could potentially beat the Eagles.
Rams, I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
Rams, yes. The only reason why is because
or the Lions.
Right. But also last year, we thought that the Rams were going to suck after Matt Stafford's injury, right? And they didn't. They almost beat the Lions in Detroit. They lost by just a field goal. Right. So I think especially since they've retooled this year, especially in that O-line to help and protect Matt Stafford, I think Matt Stafford and Sean McVay are a really, really strong match. Very complimentary. They got, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, right?
We actually have an update on the NFL on that case.
Oh, the jury one?
Yeah, overturned.
Okay. Overturned?
They found they overturned it.
Oh, yeah,
they're most likely going to appeal it to the 9th Circuit.
Yeah.
But damn.
Anyways, yeah, that sucks.
What are we talking about?
So in the first in the Market Our News segment, I don't think you were here, but we had recently the NFL had been fined for breaking antitrust laws with their Sunday night DirecTV package. And they were basically fraudulently overcharging subscribers. And what the jury had found is they had charged the NFL with $4.7 billion in damages. But the problem is the judge didn't agree with the jury's calculation methods and saying that the jury used the wrong calculation method to arrive at the $4.7 billion number. And that's why the judge is overturning the jury's verdict.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Somebody paid the judge off.
Exactly. Yeah. And, it's the NFL.
The NFL. They don't want to pay for
They do shit.
Their net worth is greater than like 80 countries in the entire world. So I'm sure they have money.
They could be helping out with the national debt, man.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
But yeah, so that's what's happened. But yeah, so going back, I think the Eagles win, but they lose the division. Or they lose in the divisional round.
Got it. Okay.
Alrighty.
So not the wild card, in the divisional round.
In the divisional round.
That's the wild
divisional
card.
round.
Again.
Yeah. So I think they can beat the wild card team.
Yeah.
Probably going to be either one of the NFC South teams or maybe an NFC East team, right? So they could probably beat them in the wild card. Because I don't think the Eagles. Okay, so if we were to look at this in terms of the divisional round, the Eagles would probably be number 3, the third
either
spot,
3 or 4.
right? 3 or 4, because
Right.
I don't think they're going to beat the Lions in terms of the second spot, or the Niners in the first spot, or the Packers if the Packers get to the second spot. But yeah, they would definitely be better than an NFC South team. Like whoever wins there, I'm sure they'll be better than them. So if they face 3, then if they're third, then they face 6, right? So who would be the second best wild card team? Most likely that would be an NFC West team or an NFC South team, maybe.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But fair
Actually,
enough,
I mean, NFC North team.
no, yeah, NFC North.
Yeah.
If we say, yeah. Anyways, that's too many complications. Who knows? At this point, I just think that they get to the divisional round.
Yeah,
but they lose
That's
there.
fair. I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what I want, because then you can retain like your staff.
Yeah.
If not, you're losing your
You
staff.
get just enough hope.
Just
to
enough.
get more,
If you go to the NFC Championship and let's say you do well and you still lose, like Kellen might be gone.
Yeah.
There might be a coach needy team like, oh, you know what? We're gonna hire him as a head coach. There goes Kellen. Right.
Yeah,
And then now you back in the circle again, try to find another coordinator. So yeah.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you again, Pete Nathan, for joining the show.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So that's going to do it for us today. If you guys have enjoyed, please leave us a review at one of the 4 podcast platforms that we host our podcasts on: Apple, Google, Spotify, and Pocket Casts, or send us an email at nflmasala@gmail.com, spelled as nflmasala@gmail.com. Or, Rakshak, what can they do?
They can also find us on our other platforms, which is on Twitter, X, and on Instagram at NFL Masala 2022, all lowercase. That is again at NFL Masala 2022.
And you could also follow us on YouTube. Yes, guys, we are on YouTube. So give us a like, give us a subscribe there, and hopefully increase our follower count there. It's okay. We're gonna hit you. Actually, before we end off, where can we find Pete Nathan? Please.
Yes.
So you can find me on YouTube at Pete Nathan. And then you can also find me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and the Pete Nathan podcast. I will have both of these guys on in the future, especially Anand when we play the Packers.
Yes, sir.
And then Rakshak will join us every week. So you can find me there. Thank you.
All righty. So we're gonna hit you guys with our signature outro. Go Pack, go!
And we gotta say it together, Pete. We all we got.
We all we need.
Fly,
Eagles high.
fly.
All right.
All right.
Take care and have a good night.